Jai Hind and good morning one and all present here. Now, I would like to request the Honorable Chief Guest, Sir Shri P.V. Eapen, PMMS, IG, Cedco Bsf, Bengaluru, and Sir Shri Hemant Kumar Jha, DIG, BSF, Bengaluru, to grace the stage. Now, I request Captain Chaitanya, Associate Professor, NCC, Chanakya University, to accompany the guest. As India's first line of defense, border security force has truly lived up to its motto of duty unto death. Their commitment towards protecting the motherland in the most difficult and tough terrains is unexceptional. India is proud of BSF. On behalf of Chanakya University, I, Cadet Sitara Patel, is very honored and privileged to extend a warm welcome to each and every one of you gathered here today. We are deeply grateful for your presence at this momentous occasion of enriching knowledge and wisdom of nation building. Now, it's my pleasure to introduce Cadet Sumit, who will be extending a warm welcome to all of our guests.
Honorable Chief Guests, faculty members, and dear students, today we gather to honor and celebrate the distinguished presence of esteemed Shri Eapen PV IG, PMMS, Cedco Bsf Bangalore, and Shri Hemant Kumar Jha, DIG, recipient of prestigious Police Medal for Meritorious Service. We extend a warm welcome to IG Eapen PV, whose illustrious career and exemplary leadership have earned him respect and admiration of many. I request Cadet Angel to present with a sapling to the esteemed guest. Shri Hemant Kumar Jha, your exemplary service, unwavering commitment and dedication to maintaining law and order serves as a beacon of inspiration for all of us. I request Cadet Manat to hand over a sapling to our esteemed guest. As we come together today, let us reflect on the importance of service, integrity, and leadership in shaping a better future for our society. May our time together be fulfilled with meaningful discussions, shared insights, and opportunities for collaboration and growth.
Thank you, Cadet Sumit. Now, please join me in welcoming Cadet Kusuma, who will be introducing our honorable guest, Sir Shri P.V. Eapen, PMMS, IG, Cedco, Border Security Force, Bengaluru. Jai Hind. I, Cadet Kusuma, would proud to introduce our honorable chief guest, Shri Eapen PV. Shri Eapen PV, Inspector General, BSF Bengaluru, son of late Shri N.E. Varghese, a distinguished leader with over 36 years of exemplary service in the Border Security Force. Hailing from the serene landscape of Alleppey, Kerala, Shri Eapen embarked on his journey at Border Security Force in 1986, showcasing exceptional dedication and proficiency from the onset. He is an alumni of Christian College, Chengalur, Kerala University. Sir joined BSF on 12th July 1986 as Trainee Assistant Commandant. After successful completion of basic and foundation course in 1987, he was posted to 111 Battalion BSF deployed on CI role at Cedco, Nagaland under Frontier Headquarters, Andaman and Nicobar, where he commanded a service company at the age of 23. He served in Kashmir Valley during July 1993 to December 1995, August 1996 to July 1998, and again in April 2002, September 2002, when Kashmir militancy was at its peak. With sheer grit, a high degree of professional competency, dedication, and tenacity to stay on the course, he was able to neutralize many hardcore foreign militants during his tenure, which helped militant hubs to be freed from potential secession. During more than 36 years of service, the officer has willingly served in almost all frontiers of BSF, all terrains of the country, and performed all kinds of duties under trying conditions with utmost enthusiasm, dedication, honesty, and unflinching loyalty. He ensured that the border deployed battalions under him are optimally equipped for operational challenges that they face every day. Due to resilient and steadfast vertical and lateral interactions, international border under his jurisdiction remained more or less secured and tangible results could be achieved. From August 2008 to September 2011, he has held important assignments of Commandant and on promotion as DIG on 11th May 2010 was appointed as DIG establishment at Force Headquarters, New Delhi, one of the most important assignments in Border Security Force. He commanded STC Bsf Bangalore from September 2011 to September 2015, which was declared by FHQ as the best training institution of the year 2015. From September 2015 to April 2017, he commanded BSF sector Abhor, Punjab, a very sensitive location in Punjab from the narco-terrorism point of view. 5 battalions placed under his command performed extremely well during his entire tenure, during which he was awarded DGCA for outstanding operational performance and effecting killing of 2 Pakistani intruders and for apprehending 1 Pakistani national alive along with arms, contrabands, goods and narcotics. The officer was posted as DIG and Commander, Center for Tactics and Strategic Studies of the prestigious BSF Academy, Tekanpur. Major foreign courses and senior in-service courses are conducted by this prestigious center. The BSF Academy was declared the best police training institution of the country during his tenure. Presently, he is heading Center for Electronics and Digital Communications of BSF in Bengaluru. He is also an alumni of IIM Indore, MDI Gurgaon and many other police institutes. The officer was awarded Police Medal for Meritorious Service on the Independence Day 2008, besides numerous other decorations and commendation cards. Jai Hind.
Thank you, Cadet Kusuma. Now, I am delighted to welcome our honorable guest, Shri P.V. Eapen, PMMS IGCDCO, Border Security Forces Bangalore, to share his insights on India's security environment. I welcome you, sir.
Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Ashok, in his absence of course, CEO Sri Nagaraja Reddy, Registrar Dr. Sushant Joshi and Mr. Nair. Mr. Nair is not here, I think. Most respected faculties, Mr. Hemanja, my officers from Cedco, and most of all, dear students, very warm good morning to all of you. It gives me immense pleasure to be standing here. In fact, when I was asked to deliver a talk on this day to the students here. I was just asking as to what all would be the students sitting there. Even now, I do not know who all are sitting here, but I can see one thing, that is a mosaic of India. Like you are from, some of you are from Northeast. I can see the faces from North, Northwest, South, the Central India, and most of you are here. I don't know whether you are foreign students or not, but it is a mosaic of India. Thank you so much. I am addressing the whole of India, I think. Now, I was asked to select, I was asked that you can have any subject. I said, what would be a better subject than speaking about the security environment of India. But before I delve into that subject, let me talk to you about the part in security environment played by my force, that is border security force, because most of the students from the faces I can see that predominantly you are from South. So I thought I should tell you as to what BSF plays or what the armed forces of the Union play on the national dominance on security, in the sense that south of India Jal, we don't come across wars and other conflicts. Mostly when I was having an interaction with the faculties here and the Vice Chancellor, I was telling that the states down south, that is south of India Jal, we are a blessed state. I am from Kerala. Why it is a blessed state? You don't come across many conflicts. Though the first secession or the revolt in the independent, post-independent era was seen in Tamil Nadu, but post that we don't have much of a problem here. Talk to those students or talk to those people who hail from north, northeast, northwest and all those places. They would talk about a lot of conflicts, whether it is internal conflict or forced by the external aggression. People have seen, particularly the states like Gujarat, Rajasthan, Punjab, J&K of course, in the northeast and the east, starting with Bengal, West Bengal, Assam and all the 7 sisters in the northeast, they will talk about the conflicts. All those wars that we have fought post-independent. I am not referring to any conflict that has taken place in the past before the 1947 independence. I am referring to post-15th August 1947 conflicts. What is basically, I will come to that, what is basically security conscience, what kind of a security? So we can talk about the economic security, political security, community security, personal security. The political security, among all these things, the personal and political security, that is the most important thing. When you refer to political securities, it is a broad spectrum. It encompasses many things. It precludes nothing and encompasses everything. It encompasses all the security, whether it is environmental security, whether it is economic security, the individual security, community security, or any security that you may talk about hitherto would be encompassed in this broad spectrum of political security or the security of a nation. I am not referring to anything which is ultra-nationalism. I am just referring to the nationalism that is required of all of us. Why security is paramount, why security is very important, let me come to that point, particularly this political security. And security from what? Security from the external aggression and the internal conflicts. If the conflicts continue or the nation is overwhelmed by any of these conflicts, you and me wouldn't be there. You and me wouldn't be there to be called as the citizens of this country, Indian citizen. Like what we see in the western side of our border, if I am to refer to the Pakistan, we generally used to be very serious about Pakistan about a decade, 2 decades back, to be very precise. Why we were serious? Because they are poking into us. In fact, every time they would create some kind of a problem. Whether the problem they created in 1947, immediately after the independence, by sending in the marauders, or the 1965 conflict that we have seen, that was a stalemate. 1971, and of course the last one, the Kargil conflict. Though we don't refer to it as a war, it was a small, we call it a battle or a localized conflict. It was confined to that place only. 1971 was a all-out conflict. And Pakistan was every time creating some kind of a problem because that was an unstable state from the beginning. That was an unstable state not because of us. It was because of its incoherent condition that they were placed in, the inconsistencies that they were in. A state or a nation divided into 2 parts wedged between by a very massive country. The four provinces in the West Pakistan, whether you are referring to Sindh, Balochistan, the Punjab or NWFP, Northwestern, the frontier forces, NWFP, or the East Pakistan, then now Bangladesh, they were about 2,000 odd kilometers from the close proximity of the borders of the East Pakistan with India and the West Pakistan with India, or else they were apart by about 3,500 kilometers. It was an inconsistency which could not have been sustained with any resilience or perseverance. Why this inconsistency which I am referring to? It had no common umbilical cord except one umbilical cord, that was a religion, because the division was on religious grounds. We all know it. But religion alone would not sustain the engine. It had no ethnic proximity, it had no cultural proximity, it had no civilizational proximity. I am referring to the East Pakistan or the Bangladesh with that of the West Pakistan. Or it had no economic consistency, if you have to put it that way, because that day West Pakistanis used to refer to East Pakistanis as paupers. They used to look down upon the East Pakistanis. The President of Bangladesh, though recently Mr. Sharif, the present PM, said that I am shocked by the kind of economic progress. About 3 days back only he said like this, the economic progress, the erstwhile East Pakistan, he was referring to Bangladesh, erstwhile East Pakistan is making in the East. Yes, their progress is into double digits. Probably, though it is not a very massive economy, but it is an economy in this Southeast Asia, or South Asia, you can put it that way. It's a very fast moving economy. It's a very small sized economy. So, the kind of security or security environment we are talking about is created by all these kind of conflicts. I would briefly touch upon the 1971 war, why it was forced upon us, what was the kind of condition that prevailed at that time, what forced Mrs. Gandhi, the then Prime Minister, to go into war or declare war on Pakistan. Was it declared or done by Mrs. Gandhi or at the behest of India, or was it forced upon us by Pakistan? This is to be understood before we understand about the security environment or border kind of management that is taking place today. We have to understand, because today it is a world dominated by the cyberspace and the things related to it, social media, even dark nets. These are the things that is dominating today's mind space. So we have to understand what has happened in 70s which forced the war on us. In the 1970s, if you have to see, I was told that you have people from Northeast, particularly Chakmas and all, by your faculty. We had, I don't know how many of you know it or not, 10 million refugees in the Northeast, particularly in the states like Mizoram, Tripura. I had with us about 6 or 7 refugee camps in 1989, as of 1989. People decided there. They could not be placed rightly. Now, all of them, they have been placed rightly, and at the right places. They have been given right homes and right understanding in the society. There was a time when East Pakistanis, at the behest of West Pakistan forces, they unleashed a brutal, lethal attack on all these people. They had to flee their homeland and take shelter somewhere else. The security environment that was facing or looking down at Mrs. Gandhi was 10 million refugees. Look at it, almost. It amounted to 1 crore people to feed. And what else was? A lot of lethal attack taking place in the East Pakistan. As per a very conservative estimate, approximately 5 lakh women were raped by the Pakistani forces at the hands of them. There was a very, very able reporter from the West Pakistan by the name Maskaranas. You can just write down this name and refer to Google will tell you as to who this Maskaranas was. He was basically a Catholic, but at the time of partition, it was a fait accompli, he had to settle down in West Pakistan. I am cutting short that story, how come he settled down there, but at the time of war, when the war started in 1971, he was settled there. So there is a reference from him in the Morning Times, London, or the London Telegraph. It's a very long drawn story, I will not go into it. Today's subject is not that. But he was part of an envoy which visited East Pakistan, then East Pakistan, Dhaka, to give a report because there was nobody reporting from East Pakistan, the world was not knowing. Mrs. Gandhi went around the world to try to tell the world that East Pakistan, a lot of brutality was taking place, people getting killed, students getting killed, Dhaka University under siege. Dhaka University, you would find heads rolling, you just imagine the kind of kids. They were all students like you only then, in 1970-71. 71 March 26, when Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, the first president of, or the prime minister you may say, of East Pakistan, later on became Bangladesh, when it became Bangladesh, he declared independence. And he was picked up on 26th of March 1971, taken to West Pakistan. Just look at the paradox. He was court-martialed. Can you imagine such a thing happening in our country? A civilian getting court-martialed. How many of you know about court-martial? Court-martial is a military court, which is meant to try the offenders of its own ilk. In the sense, the offenders who do offense against the act, military act, in our case BSF Act, if somebody is offending the BSF Act, we can try them, but not the civilian. We are not supposed to try any civilian. No military court in India can try any civilian. Pakistan, even today, they have a law which can try any civilian anytime on 4 counts. And the most important count or most notorious count is treason. And he was picked up for treason and tried, and he was given a death sentence. And he was languishing in a small cell of the size of 8 by 8. And you know what? To top it all, they dug a graveyard within the cell, hung a noose from the top of the, from the roof, and it would hang there, and every time a sentry would come and remind him that this noose is for you, you would be hung here. And this is a graveyard dug by 6.5 feet, but you would be buried here inside this prison. I just to remind you the kind of mental trauma that could be caused to a person being reminded every day that you would be killed, we all know that we are going to die. The day we have taken birth, we are dying, and every Fauji knows it. When you take birth in the force, particularly, you are reminded of this fact, but he is not traumatized because he is trained to be not traumatized. A civilian person would be told every time, you just look at the trauma. And this news also was being broadcast or told to Mrs. Gandhi every time. So there were so many factors which was pushing Mrs. Gandhi to a corner. She visited Nixon's, Nixon diplomacy, we refer here, Kissinger diplomacy in 1971, September, to request the intervention of USA. USA did nothing. USA, in fact, at that time did not even entertain her properly. So she decided that if something is to be done, it has to be done here by us only. 1971, still we were restraining actually. The complete western patches, the airstrips of the Indian subcontinent or our nation was raided by the Pakistani Air Force without any warning. We did not go into war at that time. You have to understand that India was not on war with Pakistan at that time. This was first known as because on 3rd of December, intervening night, 3rd, 4th, we were raided by the Pakistani Air Force, forcing, Mrs. Gandhi was talking to a rally in Calcutta at that time. She had to fly back, return to Delhi, and declare to the whole world that we are at war with Pakistan. That is how this 13-day war, rest is history, I will not speak about it. We may think it was in the distant past. This thing has happened. Nothing would happen now because the nations are armed with a nuclear weapon. Pakistan has nuclear weapon with them. India also has. The China in the proximity they have. And Iran is trying. That is also immediate neighbor to Pakistan in the west. They are trying very hard to have it. Baghdad tried once, could not succeed. But they said that they had weapon of mass destruction. The Americans had to raid them, go into war with them. And this history is known to you. Now, what is today's environment? Basically, the security environment, having said what I said, security environment of India today. Is it surely the external aggression that we are referring to? Or is it the kind of conflict that we have seen? What are conflicts we have seen? We have seen the conflicts of the ilk of Northeast. When we started, we had Northeastern insurgency going on in most of the states rather. We have seen it. We have seen it in Nagaland. with NSCN, National Security Council of Nagaland, and they had a military wing, the ex-RGNs we call it today. We have 3 battalions, all surrendered RGNs. When Mrs. Gandhi's regime, they surrendered and they were taken to BSF. Some of them have become even commandants, second in commands, deputy commandant. They were taken in different ranks, according to their ranks in the self-styled ranks they had. YCO, the first battalion which he referred when I was being introduced, 111 Battalion BSF, is an ex-RGN battalion. So we have seen the kind of insurgency there in Nagaland. We have seen insurgency in Mizoram, MNF we had, Mizo National Friends, and the kind of secession movement that they, well, for a prolonged period, they went on with it. We had militancy in Manipur, we had minor militancies in Meghalaya even, we had militancy in Assam, in every state we had. And most of these have been doused in the sense that somewhere it is compromised, somewhere resolutions took place, somewhere they said ceasefire. Well, at least things are almost still, except one state, that is Manipur. Manipur, we'll talk about it in detail a little bit when I come to that. Manipur, why it is still there, why it is boiling up, why it is not being doused, if at all some efforts is being taken, if it could be doused in Nagaland, or at least ceasefire is there, if it could be done in Mizoram, could be done in Meghalaya, done in other states, why it is not there. Assam had very serious, Asu's time, very serious militancies and insurgencies we had. Then we have seen the militancy of Punjab, and we are still watching the militancy of J&K, despite the fact that the state, the 370 abrogated, despite the fact that it is trifurcated, despite the fact that things have almost come down to a certain level which is manageable, but it is still there. We have seen the militancies and insurgencies in the central part of the country. We have seen Naxalism, we have seen left-wing extremism, we have seen everything. Despite all these inconsistencies, we may call it, in a democracy, despite all these transgressions, the country is still continuing. Despite we facing as a nation all these problems over the last, you may refer to 77 years of our survival, still we are able to survive properly. Whereas you just look at the neighbors, whether it is the East-West Pakistans, Pakistan is in a very dire state. Rather, most of our senior leadership are sympathetic to Pakistan, sympathetic, not that sympathetic that they can come and attack us. Because a disintegrated Pakistan will create more Pakistan. It is like a viruses getting split. Multitudinal viruses could be created. So we would feel that let it be there, let there be a consistent neighbor at least, not creating much of a problem. But the problem is that Pakistan will never stay silent. External poking would definitely be there. They will send in narco-terrorists, they will send in jihadis, they are capable of sending in fidains, they will be capable of creating subversions in our country, maybe at times sabotages. So anything and everything that you could think of, they can do it to create internal disturbances, because a direct confrontation probably they may not be able to make. And internal, definitely, they can act as a catalyst. They would not want to have a direct confrontation unless they are supported by China. So the internal strife or internal conflict that I am referring to, what all are surviving now. So let me touch about briefly the left-wing extremism as an offshoot of the 1967 Naxalism. As a misnomer, people refer to it as a Naxalism. It is a misnomer. Why it is a misnomer? Naxalism was a spontaneous eruption at that time. An explosion, it exploded 1967 June 26. Where? In a small village by the name. What was the name of the village, if you could remember, some of you? The name comes from that rather. Somebody said something. Yeah, Naxalbari is a very small hamlet actually, very small one. In Jalpaiguri district or Siliguri district, you may refer to it as Siliguri was a wider district then. So Naxalbari is a small hamlet, a nondescript remote hamlet in Jalpaiguri, larger Jalpaiguri district or Siliguri district, one and the same thing. And then it flashed through the complete central India, reached down south. Just look at what would have happened if it was to take place today. This happened in 1967, where no internet, which you hold today, no internet, no cell phones, no social media, nothing. Nobody was there to even pass on this message. But it spread like a wildfire, rushing through the heart of India. And it not only spreaded, people picked up. Students in the campuses and many others took up, and it was everywhere within no time. It continued for quite some time, despite the fact that the major characters who played the role, you all know, Kanu Sanyal, Charu Majumdar and all these people, Bimal Chakrabarti, and these were the places, educated people, not that they were illiterate or something like that, people who could write really well. Charu Majumdar could write really well. The historical aid documents and all, if you read that, you will understand the kind of mental faculty he possessed. So, this was one of the things, but then what happened? It disintegrated over a period of time. Maybe by some kind of a developmental activities taking place in those places where it was affected. Then the land reforms came in effectively. The Land Reforms Act was passed even prior to 1950. We passed, the first amendment was on it only, land reform. It was never implemented. But then government was serious about it, they started implementing it. It had some effect, developmental activities taking place had some effect. Then the use of force, because it has to be a combination of all these things, it came down and it disintegrated and it was almost vanished. My state, Kerala, was one of the states which very seriously, particularly northern Kerala, was very seriously affected by this menace. The offshoot of it, they came together, many of it, whether it is CPI-ML underground now. There are two factions, CPI-M, Marxist, Leninist. The present day, PWG and all those people, they came together in 2004, they formed a front called, united front called CPI Maoist, CPI-M. Don't mistake it for the CPI Marxist political party. I am referring to CPI. How many students are from politics or history, some humanities there? Yeah. Don't mistake it for that. It is, I am referring to CPI Maoist. It was ruling the rooster for quite some time in some parts of the country. There was a time when about 180 districts of India was affected. Now it is very less comparatively. People are getting killed or surrendered. They are putting down their arms and coming to mainstream, and that is what the country wants, but that menace is still there. If you have to consider only external aggression, no. This is a very serious menace. It was a serious menace, which is coming down definitely. But the thing is that we have seen so many of it going down and coming up again. So the Naxalism went down, it came up in another shape, another form, by the name CPI Maoist, and tomorrow it will be something else, because as you will understand, in an atom, they say in science, it has a central nucleus where you have neutrons and protons and an electron orbits moving around it. This has to move around, activity has to take place. So is our case. Activities has to take place within the body. We need to have to be attacked by the external elements like viruses, bacteria, plasmodiums and all those things. Then the antibodies has to come into play. So this conflict has to continue. It is meant for that. Why should a human body have an antibody if there was not to have an attack from external forces like viruses, plasmodiums and any other microbe or bacteria? So these armies are created or forces are created to combat any kind of an aggression from external elements or elements inherent to you. So these internal conflicts would remain there, but they have to be dealt with appropriately. And most of these conflicts are created by those people who have transgressed the normal path. Basically, they are not our enemies. Basically, even government of India would not consider them as enemies. That is why every time the offer goes, please come to the mainstream. Come to the mainstream. And this message is sent out through various means and medias. Through the government agencies, the forces, the civil setup, even academicians and all people come into play. Appeal to them. Because there is no fun. You can't be in conflict with the government. That is what it is. So this is one of those things. It's a menace which is coming down. I am not saying that it is coming, but the internal conflict is there. We have seen Punjab, and again it was in news very recently. If you have to speak about it, Punjab, what was it? Actually, the Khalistani forces. When we joined service in 1986, we were undergoing the basic training. This was about 2 years down the line after Mrs. Gandhi got killed on 31st of October 1984. So she was killed by her own guards around people who was guarding, who was supposed to be guarding her. So community, the complete community was looked down, because then there was a riot, communal riot. People went against one community going against another community. The communal riot, it doesn't solve any problem. So ultimately what happened, actually the 80s we have seen the Punjab militancy on the rise. And 90s we have seen its decline. And how it declined, why it declined, it had a different story. And it is again trying to come up. It is again trying to come up. It is again trying to raise its head. We have seen J&K, I will just leave it there. The security environment, when we talk about it, because we have more serious, more difficult security environment today. I am just referring to the conventional security environment that we had yesteryears. J&K, if you think that, if you are reading the history now, today's history, or our present when we started our journey, 1989 Maqbul Bhatt got hung. Through a judicial verdict, he was given the death sentence, because that is what he did, and he was to be hung, he was hung. And immediately after that, there was an eruption of, you may call it militancy. Government of India referred to it as militancy, for a lot of difference between insurgency and militancy. The insurgency, to be very precise about it, if I am to say, militancy is basically by few elements. It doesn't have any support. That is why every time, even when it is bordering insurgency, revolution or militancy, government tend to call it as a militant outfit, tend to call it as a terrorist outfit. Terrorist or militant outfit is an outfit which is supported by very few people. It terrorizes people. It survives in through terrorizing people. That is what it is. Insurgency is a kind of sudden eruption of a kind of revolution by a massive public, actually. A lot many public partake in it. It is not 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or few or hundreds. It is, yes, sizable majority of the public partake in a kind of insurgency, directly, indirectly. So this was bordering the militancy in J&K. Once it was almost bordering the insurgency, if you have to take it that way, a lot of people were supporting it. But a lot of people were supporting it out of terror. That is what it was, because they had no other alternative other than to support these groups. It was not one group. I was there for 10 years when I was read out. So you must have heard that I served there from 1993, peak of militancy, to 95, then again from 96 to 98, and 2000, all different ranks, of course. 2000 to 2002 I was there 3 times. After that I never went back, because the militancy started coming down and BSF was not much in need. BSF generally are called out when the situation is more difficult. In 1989-90, when we joined forces there in J&K, let me remind you of 1 or 2 incidents. One incident which I would briefly touch upon is a Sopur incident, in which one of my batchmates got shot, though he survived. 76 Battalion of BSF, 76 Battalion, was ordered to enter Sopur, because Sopur at that time was known as Mini Islamabad, a liberated zone. Islamabad, you know where it is? You all know it? Where is it? Pakistan. So they used to refer to the Sopur subdivisional town of Baramulla district as Mini Islamabad. Why? Because they said nobody can enter. So at that time we had a platoon of CRPF there. So platoon of CRPF could not have done. So initially when it started with the JKLF, Jammu and Kashmir Liberation Front. Then when they could not do much, a new front came, new militant outfit came, HM, Hizbul Mujahideen, Lashkar-e-Toiba, so many came in. So Sopur in 1989-90, nobody could enter, 76 Battalion came. There is a bridge connecting Sopur with that of the remaining part of Baramulla. So you have to cross Jalam Bridge in Sopur. So then you enter to the Sopur town, a small township. On one side you have Ular Lake, right hand side, if you go a little bit 2 kilometers, you have Ular Lake, a big freshwater lake. The second biggest, I think, if I am not wrong, you can refer to Google, the second biggest freshwater lake in the world, Ular Lake of Sopur or Baramulla district. So this battalion was blocked by HM and JKLF militants for about 2 days. They were not permitted to enter. They could not. Battalion, you know what is the strength of a battalion? In BSF battalion, it is a bigger battalion. It has 7 companies. Vis-a-vis Army is 4 companies. Army's infantry battalion has 4 companies. So BSF has 7 companies. Those days actually we had 6 companies. So those were the days we had 1,027 men. Now it is more than 1,200, 7th company added. You just imagine the force level, and it is not 1,000 odd men going, though all the 1,000 men would not be put into operations at one point of time. There is a constraint, there is a limitation, the space limitation, resources limitation, logistics limitations, but any point of time you can take 2 to 3 companies in operation, supported by another 2 to 3 companies. So you always go like that. So this battalion was held up right at the bridge. They have to entrench. Entrenching means they have to make trenches, holes, so that they can dug in. They would not get shot. 1,000 odd men, 2-3 companies supported by another 2-3 companies, headed by a commandant level officer, a very seasoned officer, supported by his own officers, lot many JCOs or SOs we call it, and men with LMGs, light machine guns, small arms, or calibrated weapons you have. Then even you have small sized area weapons. With all this, we were attacked with rocket and propulsion guns by the HM and JKLM militants, held up for 3 days, could not penetrate. The 3rd day, with great difficulty, sustaining injuries, this battalion entered. And after that, we were there. I was in Sopur from 1996 to 98. Though still militancy, it was there, because it would be there. This is like actually you are infected by some kind of a virus or a bacteria or a microbe, and you are a diseased body, not disease DC. It is I refer to it as DI, disease, the bimari. So when you have a disease in your body, it wouldn't go away. It may be in dormant shape for some time. People say that COVID has come in 2020. So COVID would go away from a healthy body. So many succumbed. But then you would still have some kind of, we call it what? Herd immunity you get. You get vaccination or you get affected by the COVID and you get immunity, the antibodies is created. So it will be there, but the virus wouldn't go away. Similarly, these militants wouldn't go away. They would be there hiding somewhere here and there, would be supported ably by some of the supporters. So I just touched upon one story, one small thing to make your attention to what would happen when the state is not ready. We had hundreds of such examples wherein people were to be entrenched, means people were to fight literally a major war or a battle with the militants there, because they were armed with heavy weapons supported by foreign setups. Pakistan was ably supporting them. Just across the border, the line of control, LC we call it, about 1,020 kilometers that we have with Pakistan, they refer to complete JNK, they refer to it as LC, which is basically controlled by the forces, not delimited, delineated, not signed by the 2 governments. The border is not like the border that we have in Punjab, Rajasthan or Gujarat or. So we had faced these difficulties. These difficulties could raise its head any time. You go to Gujarat, the kind of border that we have, the kind of difficulty that you would face, you should talk to somebody off and not here. When you meet some Fauji, you should ask them as to how they do the duties. So we have these internal strifes, and how this internal strife is taking place, it is mostly at the behest of the foreign powers. It used to be ably supported by Pakistan on one hand. When it was East-West Pakistans, they were supporting it. When it got cut into 2, the West Pakistan was supporting it. Again, after a few years into its survival, the East Pakistan then, later on Bangladesh, when it became a democracy, when it became a republic, it fell into the hands of some of the jihadis. They were supporting many jihadi elements, infiltrating into India, causing problems in the eastern states. Then we had China on the other side, pumping in a lot of weapons in Manipur, particularly initial stage. These organizations had some leaning towards left-wing extremist thinking. Whether it is the People's War Group that we have in Andhra Pradesh had some kind of a support being given to the Manipuri militant setup. So that was one day. So now this is the internal thing. So what is it today? Today, do we have it? Definitely we have it. But in combination with this kind of an internal security environment, we have many other things catching up with it. One thing is that the cyberspace that we have today. One small problem taking place today can be magnified into multitudes, 100 times, 1,000 times through social media strength. Social media can act really, really bad many a times. A small minor skirmishes must have taken place someplace. It is being boomed like anything and shown to the whole world as if some war has taken place. Then funding. The cloud funding takes place for these people. You would not even know. The cryptocurrencies, that is catching up. These currencies can be used. Narco-terrorism, the most dangerous thing though, you may say why it was not happening earlier. It might have been happening but not in this magnitude. Let me talk about narco-terrorism now. Having said what was happening in the past and what is happening, the narco-terrorism which I am referring to, how many of you know it? You can raise your hand, some of you. You understand narco-terrorism? Yeah, tell me if you can.
When drugs and other forms of intoxicants are used as to destabilize the population.
That is one way. She is right, almost right. But in addition to what you said, let me add, narco-terrorism basically the fund generated, like whether it is heroin or anything for that matter, synthetic drugs, organic drugs that is being used or that is being used to create funds, it is created at a very low cost. For example, in Swat Valley is the valley Malala fame. You must be knowing, I am Malala. She is from that place. So the Swat Valley is basically used to cultivate this kind of a thing. There is no government check. Pakistan doesn't have any check. ISI, the Pakistani military intelligence agency, it survives only on this fund. Government doesn't give any fund. Government need not to give any fund because they create their own fund through this kind of a narco-terrorism. The funds are raised through, and you have to understand that we are sandwiched between two things. One is a golden crescent in the west, Iran, Pakistan, Afghanistan. These three countries are called, they are part of golden crescent or they are golden crescent. And in the east what we have? Laos, Myanmar and Hong Kong. This is golden triangle. We are sandwiched between golden triangle and golden crescent, where these two are the places where opioids are created. Opioids are produced in large scale to create funds. West, these funds created are used for creating more jihadis, more militant outfits. They are used to send in infiltrators, intruders. They are used to send in weapons to create disturbances within our country. So narco-terrorism, it relates to this thing, of course. That is in addition. A major trouble is that when it comes in, I have visited some of those rehabilitation places in Punjab. Udte Punjab aane ke baad, you have seen Udte Punjab. People said this is too much actually disproportionate. It is a lot of extrapolation is there. Nothing like it. This was happening almost like that. Though, when the directors or the producers or the script writers' imagination works, you definitely have some disproportionate creation of, things. Color is added. Without spice, you can't eat meat. The spice has to be there. The spice is added. Cooked food, spices and salt is added to give taste. Similarly, these people would add that. But at the same time, this is a very dangerous thing. A population can be taken on. Pakistan need not to fight and win a war to damage or spoil India's prospectus. They only have to send in large quantity of, just look at the kind of quantum of narcotics being seized in the western high seas and of course shallow waters. You would find Kandla port being used, you would see the shipments being used, you would see people coming in, the abundant ships carrying it. Why it is abundant? Because you would find as soon as somebody go and try to intercept it, they would vanish, leaving this thing there. There was an occasion wherein we found hundreds of packets of narcotics being just thrown into the high seas and it disappeared like that. And you would get every week, 5 days, 10 days, you would see 1 or 2 packets coming onto the shore. So these things do happen. It is aimed at a larger population. Aimed at ruining the young generation basically. So this narco funding or narco terrorism, it is basically meant to destroy a complete population, create funds for creating more jihadis, create fund to send in trouble, create fund to infiltrate, create fund to send in new days, and of course weapons. And I will just leave it because the time constraint is there. So I think you can understand. So same thing, I'll just switch over to the eastern side, the golden triangle. I have just referred to the crescent. Golden triangle, which why? Manipur is in thick trouble actually. We get different kind of news. Depending on the kind of perception that you have, depending on the kind of perception that you have created, you form ideas. If I am from a particular political ideology, though the Faujis, we don't have any ideology. Political ideology, we have an ideology. We have a nationalistic ideology definitely. We believe in that. We are real patriots actually. That ideology we have, but we don't believe in a particular thing. These are switching things. A person who is in left today can be on the right, maybe in the center, so you have all kind of changing, transforming ideologies. So today, somebody likes left, somebody likes right tomorrow, and the same person likes centristic policy. So we don't have that kind of an ideology. But depending on the kind of ideology you are in, depending on the kind of perception you have created for yourself, or you want to create the perception in others, you understand a particular situation or a particular context in that way. Manipur for somebody is this, Manipur for somebody is that. In most of the cases, I think you have students from Manipur also. How many of you are there? Somebody from, I was told that one. You are from which part? Plain? You are native. Okay. Anybody else? Okay. So depending on this kind of a belief, she will have a different idea. You ask somebody from Cookie side, she would say something else. Am I right? You will have conflicting ideological belief, you will have conflicting opinions, you will have all kind of percept about a particular situation. But let me put it this way, this is nothing to take away what is happening. Certain people may definitely have some kind of an ideology also there. It is not that you can work or go on in a situation like this without any ideology, because the ideology that you are in, you believe it actually. That is why it is carried on. The ideology, the other part, Hitler had an ideology, he was in war with the Allied forces for about 5-6 years rather, 1939 1st September to 1945 August. He was in war with the Allied forces. Allied forces joined one after the other. So Hitler might never have considered that my ideology is bad. Or for that matter, the Allied forces, when they were raiding Normandy in 1945, they would never have thought that, 1944 rather, they would never have thought that the ideology that we follow is wrong. Everybody is right in their own sense. Nothing to take away from the parties in that ideological situation. Let me tell you this, they have a problem in Manipur. I said at the beginning, ab initio, that Nagaland, I was there, even sale of liquor was a taboo from the women's side. People may think that despite that people will drink, despite that people will sell. In 1987 when I joined, I first, while going from Dimapur, we have to get down at Dimapur, it's a railway station. So most of the journeys in the yester years were carried out through trains only. Air journey was unaffordable. Now anybody can travel by air. So Dimapur I got down, so I was sent a vehicle by my CEO. Dimapur to Chanakya I had to travel, about 8-9 hours travel. So Kohima, there is a war cemetery. I said I would like to visit that before So war cemetery, you go there, at the entrance, war cemetery is a cemetery created immediately after the Second World War. You would find this small inscription there, in a very big letter. If you have gone there, if you have heard about it, you can refer to it also. When you go home, tell them of us, and tell them that for your tomorrow we have laid out today. जब आप जाओगे, when you go home, tell them of us. हमारा बारे में बताइए, go, tell them of us. You discuss about us. Tell them that for your tomorrow we lay down our today. We die today because for you. So this cemetery, I have seen people smoking, drugs, people having drinks inside. But that changed within 1 year when the women took arms in the sense, they said it is a taboo. No liquor, no drugs, nothing. So they were very strong, they would make checks, they may even check the forces vehicle. There was a ceasefire going on with NSEN and RGN of course. The erstwhile, not the RGN which surrendered, there were splinter groups. ISEC IM group, we used to refer to it as NSC and IM. NSC and IM, NS and ISEC, so these fractions were there. So they had their own military setup, underground military setup, the splinter groups of RGNs. So they would definitely come check our vehicles. We would say, you check. So they would not permit, even when we were permitted to have drinks there, we would have our canteen there. So despite that, they would argue with us. We would say that, no, this is permitted, this is on license, we are forces, we are here to work for you people. They would say that if you are to work for us, don't sell liquor in our state. So the women were very strong in the 1988, I am referring to 87, 88. Women were very, very strict about these things, and the Nagaland, the consumption of liquor and the use of drugs, the narco drugs, I am referring to, when I take the name drugs, don't get mistaken for those drugs which you use in the pharmacy. No. So they were very, very strong about it. But in Manipur, what happened? Unfortunately, Manipur is in the cusp of the golden triangle, which I referred. Golden triangle, the most proximate state, they have about 600 odd kilometers border with Myanmar. And particularly the division Kutch, the districts, I am just forgetting it, the proximate districts, Myanmar district with the Manipur, it is, there a lot of cultivation takes place in the Myanmar, Hong Kong, More is the border through which it comes actually, the border where people can come without check even. So up to 16 kilometers, no check. The internal permit is given, no check. People can come even trade and go back. And there also, you can go up to that much. So this is another thing which is hurting the prosperity of this country. Rather, if it is to be taken that way, because a lot of drugs comes in through it. Because of the kind of cultivation, because this land affords that kind of a fertility. It gives a lot of fertility, and these opioids can be grown there, and from these opioids, a lot of ketamine type, you must have heard about it. You heard of it? Ketamine, you must have heard about it, and all those side products, yaba tablets, and all those things are produced through this, and it is in the proximity, in the cusp of this golden triangle. So these were coming, actually why it is happening, or why it was happening? It was happening because government has taken certain measures which curtailed the kind of funding. The funds were not coming in. Without fund, no organization can thrive. Without funds, nothing can progress. Without funds, you can't recruit people. Without funds, you can't bring in people and work for you. Without funds, nobody would be with you. The majority of the public would be going away. That is why this kind of illegal activity has to take place. Narco-terrorism has to thrive. So a lot of this thing was coming in, and people were thriving it. This money was being used to recruit more. This money was being used to spread a kind of militancy. I am not referring to a particular community. It was happening with both actually. It was happening everywhere. When the government put curb, they would make stories. They would then create kind of situation wherein you can't act. So you can act, you can talk to the people there. If you have to talk neutrally, they would say it is basically, mostly, I am saying, the conflict is probably inspired by this kind of a situation wherein the kind of trade which is taking place through this kind of borders is hurting the prosperity of the state. They are hurting the prosperity of Manipur particularly, because Mizoram also same kind of an issue is there. Mizoram, the women, they took arms. Took arms means not that they wield arms, they would wield lathis. They said no liquor, no drugs. The Mizo, they say that no drugs can come here. We will not permit it. So it would still be there. So many states and many women wouldn't want it. In South also you go there, you would find women taking out processions against all kind of alcohols. But the main seller in Kerala is the government. Nobody other than the government can sell. Do you know this? How many are from Kerala? Just so many. So, do you know this really? You should tell your comrades, you should tell your peers. Kerala, no private person can sell liquor. It is an offense. No permit would come. They will have bars, of course. Only bars up to 4-star bar can sell liquor. That too in packs. But the main seller is the government. And the Kerala government's main revenue is through the abkaris, in the sense that by selling liquor. So that is why it is prospering there. Bolta hai, on Christmas Day you would find the count, bolta hai, the biggest boozer is, per capita boozer is Keralite. About 2-3 years back they have beaten Punjabis. the Punjab was a state which would thrive in, they would boast, the Punjabis, in the typical Punjabi language, itna peg pita. I have taken 5 pegs, I have taken 6 pegs, still I am on my foot, I can stand. The Keralite would make a bigger boasting and then bigger boasting. They would say, particularly, there is a term called, why I am just saying, I am just referring to the thing. On one side they say no drinks, the woman would take out possession, government is selling it. In a way it is being forced. The government say without this revenue we can't survive. Kerala, they have lottery revenue, they have this boozer revenue, the boozing revenue, and a few things like that. There is not much of many industries, there are no manufacturing hubs. So anyway, I am not against any, I am not talking about any particular government, but this is what is happening. So these things in the northeast, there is mostly this one state through which it is now coming. Because the state which is focusing, Nagaland has a larger border with Myanmar. Myanmar, we have 1600 kilometers of long border with Myanmar. All these states are affected, starting with Manipur, Nagaland, it goes on like that. So we have border with them 1600 kilometers, but then even if it comes, these people stop, then when the revenue is not generated, and if it is, the risk taking is not very good, it is not favoring the kind of infiltration that is happening, then they would stop it. And Manipur is a state which is welcoming to a certain extent, I would say. And through the border which I referred, More border, and there is one more border there, one more, through which you can come. Legally you can come, no check, up to 16 kilometers, you can come, trade and go back. And this is being utilized, this is being exploited. So why I have elaborated on this issue so far, it is a big security menace. It is a big security menace. It is not that it is being curtailed only in that state. Whatever is coming in, it cannot be consumed there only. It is coming that the Yaba tablet, it has reached the south. It has reached Tamil Nadu, it has reached Kerala, a lot of consumption. Yaba tablet, every passenger coming in, the police would claim that today we have seized this many Yaba tablet. The police would, Yaba, it's a synthetic drug. It is a synthetic drug used by using organic drug. These opioids added with some chemicals, ketamine and all, and the chemistry faculties would be able to explain it. Then it is used to create this kind of Yaba tablet. Its effect is very high. Don't do it actually. We definitely would arrange a lecture for you people. It must be heard actually today only. A retired DG Customs, he was just asking me, arrange a lecture. His lecture is there. I will send you the link. The people should actually listen to it, what he has taken. It is just telling that how much damaging it is. It damages your everything, your family. It affects your siblings. It affects your complete relation. It affects the relation between spouses, it affects the progenies, it affects everybody, everything, the society rather. So it is to address these issues that a large spectrum of people are there. Actually, NGOs are taking onto it actually. The NGOs in the right earnest. They are covering a large part of the country to deliver this kind of a lecture, telling people as to why it should be prescribed, why it should be stopped. And there are drugs in the garb of pharmaceutical drugs coming out. There is a drug which used to be produced in Punjab, Damadol. It's Damadol is the name, actually the name suggests that Damadol. What is the meaning of Damadol? Means hilat. But it is being legally sold in Punjab, Damadol. It is produced, I think, in Ludhiana or somewhere like that. It is being sold legally and its selling is not prohibited because it is produced as a pharmaceutical product. Whereas it is a drug, it's a synthetic drug. So these things are happening, it is aimed at affecting the larger part of the generation, that is what it is. So in the present day, the security environment internal, I have just referred to the internal so far, I don't know how much time I have. How much time I have more? You also, I'll just curtail it. So the internal environment, I'll touch upon 5 to 10 minutes about the external part. What should we be worried? Do we really have a threat from external things? Pakistan, of course, is a worrisome thing because if they cannot directly engage us, they will definitely engage us through indirect means by sending infiltrators, intruders, weapon inside, drones, drone he must be able to, I think, cover a little bit of that drone menace that we refer to. BSF is facing it. A lot of things come in. A small drone can carry up to a kg, 2 kg, 3 kg, 4 kg, 5 kg. Narcotics it may carry. Even it carries 1 or 2 weapons, a slightly bigger one. It comes in a very obtuse fashion. It comes in, drops it and go back. It goes back to the handler. And I think not even 25-30% interception we make. We shoot down things. We have our grid there, drone, anti-drone grid. But the thing is that many times you are deceived. So this is one thing. Pakistan can do that. Pakistan is an unstable state as of today. An unstable state, why? Because the politically it is very unstable. Economically, it is not viable. I am just telling you this. You can just mark my word. Economically not much viable, politically not much viable, geographically not much viable. Geographically why? Baluchi is asking for a separate state, Sindh is asking for a Sindh, Punjab, between Sindh and Punjab there are a lot of problems. Sindh would say that we are not part of Punjab, we cannot, Punjabis cannot be, Punjabis are dominating. Punjabis are dominating because sizable population comes from there. Then the northwestern frontier province, NWFP, that also has its own inherent problems because they are more akin to its western neighborhood, that is Afghanistan. So these problems are there. Pakistan is unstable, and unstable Pakistan would pose a bigger challenge to us. Even being a nuclear state, they can threaten us with the nuclear dire consequences. In case threatened, they say that if we are threatened, well, we have never said no first use. That is Pakistan's stance. We have never said no first use. No first use means if between two countries, if the both countries take the no first use, that means nobody would use it, isn't it? But Pakistan we may use, because they only have that. They have nothing else to offer to the world except the first use of nuclear threat. That is what it is. So we are more worried about Nepal, not much conducive, but it's all right, I will not touch upon it, time constraint again. Bhutan, of course, it is a very friendly nation. We almost control their foreign external affairs things. The policy dialogues, we control it. Defense support, we give it. Bhutan, it is a friendly state actually. We cover their defenses mostly. So you have seen all those things taking place, must have read in the newspapers, Galwan Valley and all those places. Why we are there? No, both sides, southern and northern Tibet, it is basically because of this issue. That Bhutan is a friendly country, we have to defend it at any cost. Nepal, I said, Bangladesh, it was till recently about 3-time bike. Sheikh Hasina came, it is stable you may call it, but it was unstable with the jihadis for quite a while. But it can again fall into, there is no surety. China is a bigger threat, it is a nuclear armed state. Its military might is almost equivalent to, I would say, almost equivalent to America. They have replaced the erstwhile USSR since 1989, the kind of economic growth that they have taken, that has taken place. They had double-digit growth for about 5 years, 2004 to 2003 to 2008 continuously. So these things have catapulted them to the global arena as a very big economy, very big military might, and it is an authoritarian government. It can threaten anybody anytime. They don't even hesitate to use threat against. They say that Taiwan, if you interfere, we will take it as the USA should be ready to face the direct consequences. To that extent they go. So that is the kind of political dialogue that is taking place with China. So for them, so we had suffered once in 1962, though the India that we have today is not the India of 1962. It's a bigger threat looming around. They supported some of those elements in the northeast particularly. So without taking any names, they have supported them directly and indirectly, directly with weapon, with money, with all kind of funding, and also partook in the past. And they would not hesitate to do it even today. But those were the days when they thought that, particularly some of the militant outfits in Manipur particularly were leaning towards left. It is not that now. It has changed now, it is not there. But they would any time may support, because any country would support. The external problem that we have is not one fault, not two fault, many fault actually. If China today with the active support, or Pakistan with the active support of China, to put it rightly, decide to go in or create 2 fronts, 3 fronts, definitely we will have some kind of an external problem, external threat looming around. So India is, in fact, we have to strike course on both the sides. Security environment in that way, from the external aggression point of view, I may say it is not very, very conducive, but it is somewhat stabilized over a period of time now. maybe in last 1 or 2 decades, we have improved a lot. The relations, I will not say that it has improved a lot, but at least the kind of stability that we find, despite the minor skirmishes and conflict taking place, it is far better than yesteryears. So I will stop it here because I would have gone on for some more time, but for the constraints, my colleague also would like to speak for a while. In case you have some questions for me on whatever I have spoken, you can shoot up now or you may reserve it after his talk, I think. Acha, okay. Thank you so much, and you are very patient listeners to me. Thank you so much for being such good students. Rather, I can peep into my past, what kind of a student I was when I was in the university. You are far better and very good listeners than what we were at that time. Thank you so much. Wish you all the very best. God bless.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your thoughts and insights with us today. Your words have been truly inspiring for us. Now, I request our IT team to play a video on importance and significance of BSF and how BSF is maintaining and taking care of the internal security. I would also request our honorable guest to be seated in the front row.
और हम राष्ट्र की प्रथम रक्षा बल सीमा सुरक्षा बल एक ऐसा केंद्रीय सशस्त्र पुलिस बल जिसका गठन 1965 के भारत पाकिस्तान युद्ध की समाप्ति के उपरांत सामने आए तात्कालिक परिदृश्य के बीच ऐसे केंद्रीय बल के रूप में किया गया था जिसका दायित्व था भारत के पाकिस्तान के साथ लगते अंतर्राष्ट्रीय सीमाओं की प्रभावी रक्षा और समुचित सीमा प्रबंधन 1 दिसंबर 1965 को श्री के.एफ. रुस्तम जी बल के प्रथम महानिदेशक के नेतृत्व में इस बल को गठित किया गया था। पद्म विभूषण समेत कई अलंकरणों से सम्मानित श्री रुस्तम जी के कुशल नेतृत्व, अपार अनुभव और दूरदर्शी योजनाओं का ही परिणाम है कि महज 25 बटालियनों के साथ गठित सीमा सुरक्षा बल आज विशाल जनशक्ति, अद्यतन उपकरण और बेहतरीन सैनिक साजो सामान से लैस विश्व के सबसे बड़े सीमा रक्षक बल के रूप में प्रतिष्ठित हुआ है। अपने आदर्श वाक्य जीवन पर्यंत कर्तव्य के प्रति दृढ़ संकल्पित सीमा सुरक्षा बल की 1971 के बांग्लादेश मुक्ति युद्ध में निभाई गई भूमिका का महत्वपूर्ण स्थान है। गठन के शुरुआती वर्षों में ही बल ने बांग्लादेश की आजादी महत्वपूर्ण हो जाता है। केंद्रीय बलों में एकमात्र सीमा सुरक्षा बल की एयर विंग की स्थापना P-ARC-80 विमान के साथ वर्ष 1972 में हुई, जो आज एम्बर, Mi-70, LHR विमानों से लैस देश की महत्वपूर्ण विंग के रूप में परिवर्तित हो चुकी है। वहीं बल की वाटर विंग उभरती लहरों के बीच देश की पश्चिमी व पूर्वी सीमाओं पर पूरी मुस्तैदी के साथ डटी हुई है। देश की जलीय सीमाओं की रक्षा के लिए वर्ष 1966 में कुछ बोट्स के साथ स्थापित हुई बल की ये विंग आज 500 से अधिक वाटर क्राफ्ट्स के विशाल बेड़े के रूप में परिवर्तित होकर राष्ट्र रक्षा में सीमाओं पर तैनात है। 26/11 के मुंबई आतंकी हमले के बाद देश के तटीय परिधि की सुरक्षा को और अधिक प्रभावी बनाने के उद्देश्य से गुजरात के ओखा में नेशनल एकेडमी ऑफ कोस्टल पॉलिसी को BSF के तत्वावधान में स्थापित किया गया। इस संस्थान द्वारा अभी तक 7 कोर्सों के माध्यम से देश के तटीय राज्यों गुजरात, महाराष्ट्र, गोवा, कर्नाटक, केरल, तमिलनाडु आदि के साथ BSF और CISF के कुल 427 पुलिस कर्मियों को प्रशिक्षण प्रदान किया जा चुका है। बल की तोपखाना यूनिट की स्थापना 1 अक्टूबर 1971 में हुई। अपने गठन के शुरुआती चरण में ही बल की आर्टिलरी विंग ने बांग्लादेश की आजादी के समय पूर्वी और पश्चिमी मोर्चे पर पाकिस्तान की नियमित सैन्य टुकड़ियों के साथ जिस निर्णायक ढंग से युद्ध लड़ा, वो आज भी संपूर्ण देश के लिए प्रेरणा स्रोत है। 1971 के युद्ध के समय हथियारों तथा आयुध भंडारण की आत्मनिर्भरता को विकसित करने के लिए बल के घटक केंद्रीय कर्मशाला एवं भंडार की स्थापना मध्य प्रदेश ग्वालियर में की गई। 1971 के युद्ध में सुरक्षा बलों को हथियारों के कल पुर्जे व आयुध की आपूर्ति को सुनिश्चित करने से लेकर आज तक ये बल देश में आयुध से जुड़े सामानों का निर्माण सफलतापूर्वक कर रहा है। 12 मई 1976 को सीमा सुरक्षा बल अकादमी चेतनपुर में स्थापित बल की अश्रु गैस इकाई देश में नॉन लेथल म्यूनिशन अश्रु गैस के गुणों के निर्माण की एकमात्र इकाई के रूप में स्थापित हो चुकी है, जो प्रति वर्ष 46 प्रकार के 6 लाख से अधिक नॉन लेथल म्यूनिशंस का निर्माण कर देश की कानून व्यवस्था व आतंकरोधी अभियानों में बलों के लिए आयुधों का निर्माण सुचारू रूप से कर रही है। बल युद्ध के क्षेत्रों में भी अग्रणी भूमिका रहा है। इस बल के खिलाड़ियों ने राष्ट्रीय और अंतर्राष्ट्रीय स्तर पर बेहतरीन प्रदर्शन करते हुए 1 द्रोणाचार्य और 17 अर्जुन अवार्ड हासिल किए हैं। अभी हाल ही में संपन्न ऑल इंडिया वाटर स्पोर्ट्स चैंपियनशिप में बल के खिलाड़ियों ने प्रथम स्थान हासिल किया है। हमारे खिलाड़ियों ने वर्ल्ड ड्राफ्टिंग चैंपियनशिप में भी हिस्सा लेकर बल और देश का नाम रोशन किया है। योग का हमारे जीवन में महत्वपूर्ण स्थान है। योग बल कार्मिकों की दैनिक दिनचर्या में तो शामिल है, स्पर्धा के रूप में भी विभिन्न स्तरों पर हमारे प्रहरियों ने इसमें हिस्सा लिया है। 46वीं सीनियर नेशनल योगासन चैंपियनशिप 2021 प्रतियोगिता में बल के खिलाड़ियों ने 5 गोल्ड, 2 सिल्वर और 5 कांस्य पदक अपने नाम किए। 18 सितंबर 1992 को स्थापित आवा यानी BSF वाइस वेलफेयर एसोसिएशन बल का एक विशिष्ट गैर लाभकारी संगठन है। ये संगठन बीते 3 दशकों से विभिन्न कल्याणकारी योजनाओं का संचालन प्रहरी हित में कर रहा है, जिसमें वोकेशनल ट्रेनिंग बेस्ड कोर्सेज, कंप्यूटर शिक्षा, सिलाई कढ़ाई इत्यादि प्रमुख हैं। ये संगठन अपने सदस्यों को लाभ प्रदान करने के अतिरिक्त विभिन्न जन कल्याणकारी कार्यक्रमों, जागरूकता अभियानों, समस्याओं के समाधान व सार्थक उपयोगी बातचीत के लिए एक प्रभावी मंच उपलब्ध करा रहा है। इस वर्ष अंतर्राष्ट्रीय महिला दिवस के अवसर पर सीमा सुरक्षा बल की सुप्रसिद्ध सीमा भवानी टीम को शौर्य एक्सपीडिशन के तहत इंडिया गेट से रवाना किया गया। दृढ़ संकल्प व देशभक्ति की भावना से ओतप्रोत 36 महिला बाइकर्स ने 20 दिनों में 5280 किलोमीटर की दूरी तय करते हुए इस एक्सपीडिशन को 28 मार्च 2022 को कन्याकुमारी में समाप्त किया। इस यात्रा का उद्देश्य महिला सशक्तिकरण के साथ साथ विभिन्न केंद्रीय बलों में महिलाओं द्वारा निभाए जा रहे दायित्वों के प्रति आम जन को जागरूक करना था। सीमा सुरक्षा बल के गौरवशाली इतिहास में सीमा प्रहरियों के उच्चतम शौर्य और बलिदान की मान्यता स्वरूप भारत सरकार ने बल को 1 महावीर चक्र, 13 वीर चक्र, कीर्ति चक्र, 13 शौर्य चक्र, 56 सेना मेडल पुलिस वीरता पदकों से सम्मानित किया है। नवीनतम तकनीकों के समावेश के चलते सीमावर्ती चुनौतियों से सफलतापूर्वक निपटने के लिए बीएसएफ ने सीमा पार से ड्रोन के खतरों, सीमा पार सुरंगों, घुसपैठ और संबंधित सीमावर्ती अपराधों के खतरे का मुकाबला करने हेतु स्वदेशी तकनीकी समाधानों के विकास से संबंधित विभिन्न पहल शुरू की है। साथ ही पश्चिमी सीमाओं पर ड्रोन के खतरों से निपटने के लिए एंटी ड्रोन सिस्टम को भी तैनात किया जा रहा है। माओवादी प्रभावित क्षेत्रों में सैटेलाइट बेस्ड एसेट ट्रैकिंग डिवाइसेस का भी लगातार इस्तेमाल करते हुए ऑपरेशनल उपलब्धियों को हासिल किया जा रहा है। सीमा सुरक्षा और सीमा प्रबंधन को सुदृढ़ और प्रभावी बनाने के लिए सीमाओं पर कई जगहों पर CIBMS जैसे इंटीग्रेटेड और मॉडर्न कमांड एंड कंट्रोल प्लेटफॉर्म प्रणाली से लैस अत्याधुनिक सर्वेलेंस डिवाइसेस के माध्यम से दिन रात सीमा पर असरदार निगरानी सुनिश्चित की जा रही है। साथ ही साथ मेक इन इंडिया के नियमों और प्रणाली के अंतर्गत कई अत्याधुनिक उपकरणों के रख रखाव भी किए जा रहे हैं, जिनमें इलेक्ट्रो ऑप्टिकल इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स और HSTI शामिल है। इलेक्ट्रॉनिक लर्निंग मैनेजमेंट सिस्टम की मदद से सीमा सुरक्षा बल ने आभासी प्रशिक्षण को एक नया आयाम प्रदान करते हुए प्रशिक्षण के क्षेत्र में काफी प्रगति हासिल की है। सीमा सुरक्षा बल में टेलीमेडिसिन का सफलतापूर्वक संचालन करते हुए दूर दराज तथा दुर्गम स्थानों में तैनात बल के कार्मिकों का विशेषज्ञ डॉक्टर की मदद से जरूरी और प्रभावी उपचार किया जा रहा है। अंतर्राष्ट्रीय सीमा पर सीमा चौकियों में सूरज की पहली किरण के साथ ही बल कार्मिकों की दिनचर्या शुरू हो जाती है। नियमित कार्यों के पश्चात शारीरिक व्यायाम और योग बल के दैनिक क्रियाकलापों में शामिल है। इसके उपरांत शुरू होता है सीमावर्ती चौकसी से जुड़े दायित्वों के निर्वहन का। पोस्ट में तैनात बल कार्मिकों को पोस्ट कमांडर द्वारा ड्यूटी और ड्यूटी के इलाके की जानकारी देने के पश्चात प्रहरी अपने गंतव्य स्थान ओपी ड्यूटी अथवा पेट्रोलिंग पर निकल पड़ता है। इसी प्रकार पोस्ट पर तैनाती के क्रम को आगे बढ़ाते हुए अगली सुबह तक तैनाती को दोहराया जाता है। दैनिक प्रशिक्षण सीमा प्रहरियों का एक महत्वपूर्ण कार्य है, जिसमें कार्मिकों को विभिन्न विषयों पर व्यवसायिक एवं शारीरिक प्रशिक्षण दिया जाता है। सीमावर्ती सुरक्षा को ध्यान में रखते हुए समय समय पर सीमा क्षेत्रों में स्पेशल ऑप्स किए जाते हैं। पेट्रोलिंग, नाका आदि विभिन्न सक्रियात्मक गतिविधियों के माध्यम से सीमा प्रहरी संबंधित क्षेत्र की सुरक्षा को सुनिश्चित करते हुए राष्ट्र रक्षा में अपने कर्तव्यों का निर्वहन निस्वार्थ भाव से करते हैं। बल परिवार में शामिल होने के लिए ये बल संघ लोक सेवा आयोग, कर्मचारी चयन आयोग व अन्य विभिन्न विभागीय प्रतियोगी परीक्षाओं के माध्यम से बल कार्मिकों का चयन करता है। अधिकारी स्तर पर बल में शामिल होने के लिए संघ लोक सेवा आयोग यानी UPSC द्वारा प्रतियोगी परीक्षा का आयोजन किया जाता है, जिसके माध्यम से बल में सहायक कमांडेंट के पद पर चयन के पश्चात शामिल हुआ जा सकता है। वहीं बल में अधीनस्थ अधिकारी स्तर पर शामिल होने के लिए कर्मचारी चयन आयोग यानी SSC व अन्य विभागीय परीक्षाओं के माध्यम से बल परिवार का हिस्सा बन सकते हैं। अन्य पदों, मुख्य आरक्षक व आरक्षक जैसे अन्य पदों पर बल में भर्ती के लिए कर्मचारी चयन आयोग व अन्य विभागीय परीक्षाओं के माध्यम से सीमा सुरक्षा बल परिवार का हिस्सा बन सकते हैं। स्वतंत्रता के 75 वर्ष पूरे होने पर देशवासियों के दिलों में देशभक्ति की भावना जगाने के लिए माननीय प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी ने देश भर में मनाए जा रहे आजादी के अमृत महोत्सव कार्यक्रम के तहत एक विशिष्ट अभियान हर घर तिरंगा की शुरुआत करते हुए संपूर्ण भारतवासियों से अपने घरों, कार्यालयों आदि स्थानों पर तिरंगा फहराने की अपील की है। माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी के आह्वान पर सीमा सुरक्षा बल अपनी प्रत्येक इकाई में इसे जोश और उत्साह के साथ मना रहा है। साथ ही सीमावर्ती व बल परिसरों के नजदीक रह रहे स्थानीय लोगों को तिरंगे के महत्व और इसे फहराए जाने के उद्देश्यों के प्रति जागरूक भी कर रहा है। देश के आंतरिक व नक्सल प्रभावित इलाकों में तैनात प्रहरी विभिन्न रैलियों व जागरूकता अभियानों के माध्यम से लोगों में राष्ट्रभक्ति और देश के प्रति भावनात्मक निष्ठा का संचार कर रहे हैं। का प्रत्येक प्रहरी अपनी जान की परवाह किए बगैर राष्ट्र की संप्रभुता और अखंडता को सुनिश्चित करने के लिए प्रतिबद्ध रहे। मातृभूमि की सेवा और रक्षा करना सम्मान और गर्व की बात है। प्रखंड प्रवाह प्रचंड वेग हिमालय की ललकार है, चलती रहे ये ज्वाला हृदय में, यही राष्ट्र की पुकार है।
I salute all the BSF soldiers who are dutifully doing their duty and protecting our lives by protecting our borders. Now, I request our honorable guest and Professor Ajay Rawal, Professor of Practice, School of Commerce and Management, to be seated on the dais. Now, I'd like to welcome Cadet Angel to introduce our esteemed guest, Shri Hemant Kumar Jha, BGLR, Bangalore.
Jai Hind. I, Cadet Angel, is honored and privileged to introduce Deputy Inspector General Shri Hemant Kumar Jha. Shri Hemant Kumar Jha, DIG, is a 15th batch direct entry BSF officer having more than 31 years of service. He has successfully served on both India-Pakistan and India-Bangladesh border areas which were militancy infested, remote and having difficult terrain. He is having wide experience of implementing projects related to ICT, information and communication technology. He remained closely associated with successful implementation of various e-projects like new BSF website, e-office, CLMS, LMS, dynamic forms, BSF recruitment portal, BSF Prahari app, etc., besides revamping the IT infrastructure of BSF and implementing cyber security measures in BSF. He has been instrumental in setting up the newly established drone and cyber forensics lab in BSF. His work has been highly appreciated by DG BSF on various occasions by awarding his commendation rolls and appreciation. He is also having rich experience of serving in various capacities in UN and SSB. Shri Hemant Kumar Jha, DIG, Chief of Operations in UN-MIK border police in 2001 and was actively involved in planning and conduct of operations and framing policies and guidelines. He remained on deputation to SSB from 2012 to 2016 and contributed immensely towards improving the communication functioning and modernization as commandant. He has been awarded DG SSB commendation and appreciation for his outstanding work. Shri Jha is recipient of Police Medal for Meritorious Service on the Republic Day 2014. He has served in BSc Intelligence, that is G Directorate FHQ as Commanderate G, and has been instrumental in establishing first of its kind state-of-the-art daily intelligence tracking system having integrated GIS, Geographical Information System, with various analytics based on big data and artificial intelligence and machine learning. Shri Jha is now posted to CEDCO, Center for Electronics and Digital Communication, BSF Bangalore, on his promotion as DIG as Chief Instructor. Jai Hind.
Thank you, Cadet Angel. Now I am honored to welcome Shri Hemant Kumar Jha to share his insightful thoughts on emerging technology and border management. I welcome you, sir.
Can you put that? Shri Eapen PV, IG Cedco, Honorary Vice Chancellor, Professor Ashok HS, the Chief Operating Officer, Sri Nagaraj Reddy, the Registrar, Dr. Sushant Joshi, Professor Nair, whom I met, I think, before I came to this place, Economics Professor, my dear students, the Ignited Minds, welcome to my session today. I will be talking about the security, the border security and the emerging challenges and how to deal with that. So let us start with that. The challenges to security, smart border management. So whenever I go to some outside my institution, I always talk about 2-3 minutes about my BSF because it's imbibed in my blood. So you have seen this video about BSF and you have got to know about what BSF does. So BSF is a formidable border security force, one of the largest border security force in the world. So when you go home and talk to somebody, you must be able to say what BSF does. So BSF is a strong force of 2,65,000 force personnel and is having different wings that you have seen in this video. It has 7 artillery regiments, independent, air wing, water wing, Senvesto, tear gas units. So since when it was raised on 1st December 1965, it has a glorious past and presently it is also doing lots of job and it is a popular saying, how secure you are. So how secure you are, how will you define it? Anybody from this audience? How secure you are, how will you define it? Anyone? I want this session to be more interactive. So anyone? It depends how secure your border is. Right? How secure you are depends on how secure your border is. That's what we do. So moving on to today's session. So challenges to security and smart border management. So what? I cannot see this. Anyway, so we have 7 nations which are border with India. So if you see this Indo-Afghanistan is right from the top. Indo-Afghanistan border 106 kilometers. Indo-China 3,488 kilometers. Indo-Nepal is 1,751 kilometers. Indo-Bhutan is 699 kilometers. Then Indo-Myanmar is 1,643 kilometers. And Indo-Bangladesh is 4,096.7 kilometers. And India has a huge coastline of 7,516.6 kilometers. A huge country with huge borders. So are the challenges, isn't it? So we'll see briefly about what are the challenges each border has. So we have Indo-China border, first of all. The border is called McMahon Line. It's around 3,488 kilometers. And before 1950, it was Indo-Tibetan border. So over the course of time, China acquired it, and after that, it became Indo-China border. The entire border is disputed. It is called line of actual control. And in 1962, war, and there was major event which took place in 1962. That was a war which India has to face soon after its independence. And there was lots of skirmishes in between. That is Doklam, then Gwaldam, Galwan Valley. Then infrastructure and there is a deployment built up all along the Indo-China border. China is developing infrastructure all along the border. So is India over a period of time. So recent past, India has seen that and they have taken action and they are also building up the infrastructure all along the Indo-China border. And the responsibility is with whom? ITBP. Have you heard of ITBP? So what is it? Yeah, okay. So it is responsibility with ITBP and Indian Army, of course. So then is Indo-Nepal border. It is border length is 1751 kilometers. It's open and porous border. There's strong bilateral relations with Nepal, and the relation across the border is called Beti Roti. Beti Roti means there are lots of relations across the border. I belong to the Nepal border, so I know what kind of relations. We have all relations across the border also. So it's Beti Roti relations. We don't consider Nepal as a separate country as such, because we have all relations. We can, and from my childhood, I used to go to my village and used to cross the border and go to Nepal without any hindrance. So, but over a period of time, these illegal activities have grown up. There's like smuggling, drugs, terrorists, and criminal activities. And there's lots of Chinese interference in that. So people in across the border are also learning Mandarin these days. They are training them in Mandarin, and lots of Chinese presence is across the border. So responsibility is with whom? SSB. Have you heard of SSB? What is SSB? Sashastra Seema Bal. Okay. People often confuse with what? BSF. They also say that in Hindi it is Sashastra Seema Bal, so BSF is Sashastra Seema Bal. So then is the Indo-Bhutan border. Its border length is 699 kilometers, open and porous border. Again, smuggling is the main issue, and then insurgency, because ULFA and all this have camps there across the border. But now I think Bhutan government has taken jointly destroys those camps. Then again the Chinese interference, because Duklam, because Bhutan is having border with China also, there's Chinese interference there. And again this border is responsibilities with whom? SSB. So then is Indo-Myanmar border. Is again length is 1643 kilometers. Is open and porous. Fencing thinly done. No restriction on movement. 16 kilometer radius. But of course, recently government came and suspended that 16 kilometers, and that provision is scrapped now, suspended now. Then it is having border with Arunachal Pradesh, Nagaland, Manipur, Mizoram, and 520 kilometers with Arunachal, 215 kilometers with Nagaland, Manipur 398 kilometers, and Mizoram 510 kilometers. The main problem is drug trafficking and smuggling, insurgency, and refugee problem. Refugee problem, mainly refugees are who? Rohingyas and all this, which are coming from across the border. Then the main responsibilities with whom? Is Assam Rifles. Then coming to the border challenges on Indo-Pak border, the border length is around 3,323 kilometers. Most challenging and hostile, difficult terrain and harsh climate, and it's mountainous, desert, creek is there, J&K, Punjab, and Gujarat. Critical issues, what are the critical issues? Critical issues in Jammu and Kashmir, it's LOC is there, line of control we call it, and it's about 740 kilometers. 287 is with BSF, and rest of is controlled by army. Then we have DGD border also. Then cross-border terrorism is the main problem. Bleed by 1,000 cuts, that was the policy of Pakistan, you know. And ceasefire violations was there in past, but it is somehow dormant now. There is some agreement. So its ceasefire violation is low at this level, at this point of time. The main problem is what? Drugs, arms, ammunitions, contraband, smuggling. And now the modus operandi is changed to drone. I'll come to that also. Then infiltration is one of the major issues, and the responsibility lies with BSF. So coming to Indo-Bangladesh border length is 4096 kilometers, and we have again this different terrain is there. There is jungle, there is plain, there is riverine border. This whole lot of terrain is available with in this eastern sector also. And it's a fenced border, but at patches you have unfenced patches also. The critical issues are what? Illegal migrants and issue related to it, smuggling of drugs, FICN, arms, ammunition, cattle, and contraband. and cross-border terrorism and anti-national elements are also taking advantage of this border. Wherever there is some porous, or they are cutting the fence and coming through the fence, wherever it is some flexibility is there. The population on zero line, because there are number of places where you have villages just on the zero line. So you can't construct a fence through that. So the one problem is of refugees, Rohingyas, which I had said earlier. They are coming from Myanmar to Bangladesh, and then from Bangladesh to India. Now coming to the 21st century policing and security challenges. What is the main challenge today? Because yes, these are the conventional challenges. But what is the main challenge today? Because we have educated and tech-savvy criminals. So what is the main challenge? Say you can have internet and you can cross the border also. There is a borderless environment. So laws with multiple jurisdictions. You cannot prosecute anyone. He is living in some other country. He is doing all nonsense, but you can't stop it. You have to approach the government. It will take a hell lot of time. So that then there is inadequate analytical and technical capabilities. Yes, dark web. We all heard about dark web and everything, but it's very difficult to find out the culprit in dark web also. So it's a big technical challenge because anonymity, there's anonymity in that. Lack of security protocols and awareness. People don't know which security protocol they should put on, which should not, and the lack of awareness, I think probably sometimes you get trapped into that. Then the 21st security, this border policing and security challenges is illegal migrations, and which is changing the demographic profile of the border areas. Shrinking resources, because India is already having limited resources, so we cannot manage that. I mean, if some persons are coming from outside, then unemployment is a big problem. Criminal and illegal activities, they are indulging all criminal illegal activities. Number of cases you must have found in this Bangalore city even. Fake documentation and identity thefts. Because fake documentation, Aadhaar cards you will be available. I mean, people are coming, making Aadhaar card, and they are getting employed also. And subsequently, when they get caught, it is found that they are having the fake identity and their fake documentation they have, and they are using that for all purposes. Then refugees. The refugees are coming, and there was a news, you might have seen that 3-4 years back, the refugees were at Jammu also, and major cities in India. They are settling down there, they are building all semi-permanent structures, they are settling down, and they have all identity cards with them, and they are behaving as if they are the citizens of India. So human trafficking is again a big problem. The domestic help, see all cities. You will find Bangalore, you will find in Delhi, Calcutta, everywhere you will find the domestic help are coming from Bangladesh. Then sexual exploitations. They are going to red light and all these areas. They are putting brothels and all this. Then pornography, they are indulging in that. Then organized crime syndicates brought to mainland and vice versa. So if anything happens on the border, the repercussions are on mainland. Anything, say suppose you catch hold of some smugglers, and there will be repercussions in the hinterland. So if you see this heat map of India, the terror incidents, it is 1970 onwards. See, this subcontinent is most affected. And I think probably if I add on the number of years, it is up to I think 2018, I think probably more number of years, you will find more number of red spots here. So this is one of the main region where these incidents are happening. Infiltration attempts, constant challenges to security forces because they change their modus operandi and they try to come inside India. Then soldiers in high stress, because of this, soldiers are in very high stress. How they will stop it? They hardly get any sleep. So So because round the clock they have to man the borders, and so that you can sleep properly inside in the hinterland. The low intensity conflict has put huge burden on India, because Pakistan is not engaging in conventional war, but it is engaging in low intensity conflict. So it is low cost conflict. They hardly have to, and this low intensity conflict is related to narco-terrorism also, because they are getting all this money through that. Commitment of resources, because you cannot leave as it is, because even if it is a low intensity conflict, you have to deploy your troops so that incidents are contained. So you have to deploy anyway. This your commitment of resources is always there. Terrorism, the narco-terrorism has come in a big way. So it is changing the socio-economic fabric of the country. So mostly in border areas, Uttar Punjab sir has said, he has given a deep insight of how narco-terrorism is affecting the border and the hinterland also. Number of cases you have have been found in Delhi, these major cities. Recently I was reading the newspaper, it was about Mio drug. This is a new kind of drug, Mio drug. It is basically the ingredients are all the same. It is methyl amphetamine, I think probably. Amphetamine. So that is the main ingredient, and these are only substitutes of this drug, and this number of, with different names. Then the challenge is of payment through dark web, cryptocurrency. So you cannot track them. Dark web, dark web payments. You have heard of Silk Route? Anyone of you have heard of Silk Route? Anyone? Anyone in the audience? No one? Yeah, what is the Silk Route? Silk Route in today's time, not old Silk Route. So Silk Route is basically this payment of through the dark web is called Silk Route, and it was one American guy who established this Silk Route. I think they have always a substitute, and he was caught hold of and he was put in jail, but another guy started with that. So dark web is used for all purposes, arms ammunitions and drugs and all these things you can order, and it is assured that it will deliver through your consignment. It will deliver at your home. Then FICN is a big issue because it affects the economy of the country. This terror funding, the hit economics innovatively, and constant efforts to improve the quality. So when this demonetization happened, there's one reason of demonetization was fake currency also, and they had a number of security features in the notes. I think 17 or 21 features were there. 17 were copied within a few months. So they are very fast. They are procuring state actors and non-state actors are procuring these items from where we are sourcing those items. So they have the similar access that we have. Similar kind of technology they have. So it is very difficult to keep on changing the notes, isn't it? So, but still we have contained to some extent, but still it is being reproduced in some or other form. So dark web and cryptocurrency payments used in arms smuggling, Silk Route, I have already mentioned about that. These are, I think, it is not a story which what I am telling you. It's a real fact that this dark web is used for all this purpose. There is a third party which assures you that this item is delivered to your destination. So a big challenge, and that's why you have seen that drugs are coming in the hinterland also, even though the borders are used for drug smuggling, but it is coming inside the country even. So another challenge is civil unrest. So whenever this kind of things happens, what happens is civil unrest. These are not operated by simple people. They are operated by the syndicates. So syndicates, whenever they see that something is happening like this, they will start doing something in the mainland, and some kind of unrest will happen in the country. And there is a lack of trust in this results into lack of trust in the civil society. So the biggest problem is that you don't require infrastructure for this. Today's war, if you want to have war against a state or somewhere, then you don't require a big infrastructure for that. You can start a war from what? A small desk. Like this organizational energy is directed to known issues, because what is our main issue? Main issue is hunger, poverty, this kind of problems are there in the society. Education is a problem in society. But what happens? Your resources go diverted to this kind of things. Like one case happened in BSF also, long back, you might have heard, where Jawan started saying that food is very poor and all these things. It came in social media. But whole energy or whole resources were put to contain that, because it was not the fact which was happening in the force. Why people do this? Because they have a sense of bravado with anonymity. Say, if I put some comments, no one will come to know what comments I have done. Who is the person who has done? This kind of bravado feeling is there in the persons who use the social media, and some get away with that. The cyber attack by state and non-state actors. We have seen in recent past the number of cyber attacks which is happening on, like you might have heard about All India Institute of Medical Science. The website of All India Medical Science remained crippled for days together. And it was, it could not be tracked which country, which person who has done this. I think it was very difficult. There was some vulnerability in that servers, and that server was hacked and all data was removed from that, and it was encrypted, and it was put on the post on dark web. So the social media can again play havoc. There, 4-5 years back, the number of incidents happening, recent past also, a small incident happening, it will be blown up. Like a photo will be posted which is morphed, deep fake photos are posted on the social media, and it draws lots of repercussion from the general public, the youngsters, and all walks of the society. Then there are privacy issues, private conversation in public space. So this is again a challenge in 21st century. So as I was referring to drone is again a big challenge on western border especially. But I think आग लगी है, चिंगारी हुई है, तो वो यहाँ भी होगी, वहाँ भी होगा, सब जगह होगा. तो ये ड्रोन वैसी ही चीज़ है. तो ड्रोन which is affecting the western border will come inside also. So let me tell you about the drone. Why? Pakistan's proxy war. Because see, Pakistan is doing all sorts of nonsense. Thing is that they are doing this low intensity conflict. Then there is a proxy war. It costs nothing. I mean, if you see the amount of the drugs which is coming inside the country, this drone would cost nothing in front of that, isn't it? So few lakhs of drone, and you can smuggle crores of drugs. So it is indulging in all these things. So there have been 5-fold increase in the number of drone cases where we have intercepted these drones. There were 22 cases in 2022, and in 2023 the cases increased to 118, where we have been able to nab that drone. But sighting of drones have been much more, I think, probably. It's a minuscule percentage of drones which have been intercepted. And all drones are what? DJI Chinese drones. And with different capacity or payloads. Why drones? I have told you about that. It's a variety of sizes, nano, medium, large. Ease of operation, remotely controlled, no risk, autonomous. So, I am sitting in Pakistan and operating it. It is dropping that drug there at a location which I have provided. It is autonomous drone. So, after dropping, it is again going back to Pakistan. So, it has become a nuisance for the country, and it is affecting the country not socially but economically also. So what is the way ahead? Way ahead is smart border management. So we need to have smart border management. Smart in management terms is called what? Specific, measurable, achievable, and R is relevant and time bound. So something like that, but in different perspective. So smart approach is what? Legitimate movement of people and goods. You must have legitimate movement of people and goods. We are not obstructing it. We don't want to affect our economy, but we should have some process which must be followed. Then adoption of new technologies for border control and surveillance. These things will keep on happening, but still we need to have this thing happening, but we'll have a surveillance. Development of integrated system of entering, exchange and storage of data. Then facilitate the movement without engineering security. The smart identity system, smart inspection system, monitoring and surveillance system, these are the things which we need to have at the border. These things are, again, I wish to say that is being implemented also. So, for effective and smart border management, we need to have people, process and technology. The three things are required for smart border management, that is people, process and technology. So, who are the people? People is border guarding forces like ITBP, BSF, SSB, Assam Rifles, these are the people. And the process is what? Effective control and regulations of movement and goods, guarding regulations, development of border areas including road, fence, fuel lights, etc. Then coordination with, within, in between and international. Within the forces, coordination should be there. Then in between the forces, if ITBP is there, BSF is there, the customs is there, there should be a close coordination. Then with the international people, if there is some dispute, if there is some problem is there, then I should be able to converse with the international level and resolve the issue. Then integration of information. Integration of information is the most important. In today's world, the information is most important. The technology is mobilization of ordnance, supply chain, in Eapen and equipment vehicle, wherever it is required. And surveillance. What is? Surveillance is advanced surveillance systems, command and control systems. Because when if I get all data from the border, it needs to be collated at some places and analyzed at some places. Then communication. I should be able to have a real-time communication, tactical communication system where I can communicate even in war, even in peace. In hostile situation also and in peace also. Then AI-based threat detection, ability of resources, decision making, options for response, information based response, post-incident, pre-incident, incident, this all things should be available. And it should be able to do not only predictive but also the prescriptive predictions. Prescriptive intelligence it should be able to give. Predictive is what? You predict some incidents. But prescriptive is that what you should do, what action should be taken by you. Then integrated command control system, because we are getting information from all walks of life. So we are getting travel informations, we are getting from the railway station, we are getting from the airport and all these places we are getting informations. Say if you want to track a person, how do you track him? He has to move. So how this the chap who has done this one incident happened here, bomb blast, he was tracked down to West Bengal. This by NIE, it is because of some information system. He switched on his mobile and he was caught. Because today everybody is using these electronic devices. So the moment you use these electronic devices, you are susceptible to tracking also. So main problem is data capture, data transport, data storage, data process and visualizations. So this whole process has to go along. If technology is implemented in the border, then this whole process will go. If your surveillance is done, some movement is also there. From ICPs, the movements are there. From normal border also there. The Kisans are going outside. From fence, they are going ahead of fence for tilling and all this, doing agriculture job. So this data, who is going ahead of the fence, these things are need to be collated and then subsequently analyzed when an incident happens or when some AI-based tool says that this incident is going to happen. So we have a CMS project. I think probably you might have heard about that, and I think probably it has also been shown in this video also. This 5-layer elaborate plan to stop infiltration on western border with Pakistan. 5 layers are what? CCTVs, cameras, LOROs, thermal imagers, night vision devices, battlefield surveillance radars are there. Then the monitoring sensors, UG, DAS is distributed acoustic sensors. Then underwater sensors. Then laser barriers are also there. The integrated setup will ensure that one device doesn't work, another is failure is there. So if it doesn't work, some other device is going to work. Because India has become grown up, huge country, large number of people, large number of traffic. So you need to have such kind of thing, not only in hinterland but also in border. Hence, the need for predictive policing is required. Smart and safe technology. Not increase the number of law enforcers. What is predictive policing? Is predict some incident before it happens. So, any policing strategy that develops and uses information advanced analytics to inform forward thinking and crime prevention. So forecasting is about what? Places, times of high-risk crimes, high-risk targets, likely offenders with specific past crimes, focus on offenders, groups, syndicates. This is the main focus of the predictive policing. So I run through that very fast because he has given me very less time. So data. You are interested in this? I was told that all arts students are there. There are no science students, isn't it? Am I correct? It's a mix of all. So I think probably you will understand. It's a very layman language I am telling you this. I have removed all slides which were related to technology and all these things. So you will understand this. So what is the data gathering points? We are all data sources. You, me and everybody. And data is a new oil in today's world, isn't it? Am I correct? Okay. This open source platforms, because open source platforms are all data gathering points. If you use the social media, automatically data will be collected. Nothing is free in this world. Is anything free in this world? So X is giving you this platform, Y is giving you this platform, Z is giving this platform. So nothing is free in this world. Something is collected from that. Travel and financial records, social media, news websites, CCTV is crime and criminal network because it is being used by forces. And then criminal dossier system, dial 100, all these police people who are roaming out the cities and all these places. Then interrogation reports. Interrogation reports are a huge source of data where you get all kinds of movements and relatives, who is related to whom, link is there, citizen service applications, etc., etc. So viral media in propagation, see, anything is happening and if CCTV is there, you get to know who is doing that, how he is doing that, and if you have a legacy data means past data available to you, then you can always track down who the person is. And if you have this smart identity management system. So these are the few photographs whereby militants were identified and then apprehended also. So we require what? We require an intelligent analytical platform whereby we can collect the data and big data in the form of big data, and then we can do this analysis through AI and machine learning algorithms. So it can be of, say, customized dashboard whereby you can have whatever, if I'm analyzing a certain thing, so So if I analyzing this border areas, so I will have a customized data for border area. If I am analyzing the hinterland, I will have a customized dashboard for hinterland. So we can have different kinds of data, but data is being derived from the same interlinked analytical platform. So these are the features we have in that. So we have a 360-degree linking. So if a person has moved from, say, state A to state B, so that tracking also we can do that. And visual data mining, you can go and keep on finding who is linked to whom. Then nodes explosions. I mean, probably if you go into that artificial intelligence, there is a when you link something and then you explore the node, you get further links in that. So what can we do with that analytical thing? We can have a trend analysis, chart generations, correlation capabilities on timelines, person organization profiling and timelines. Timelines means throughout this, say suppose 10 years, you can see that how things are moved. So you can have that whole thing, how things are moved over a period of time. So years to hours, you can do that. Geo-int location, you can always find out, and you can, if you visualize the thing, then it's probably very easy to, analyze the things. So geo-int is that. Then natural language processing. So today you don't have to have a structured database. So you also can have an unstructured database whereby you can scan a document and the software will, what it will do is that chunk the data, extract the information out of that, like people, place, all these proper nouns and common nouns that they can find out, and they can put this thing in a database, and then they can link this database with other databases also. So these are the features of natural language processing. See how this video analytics works. So if a procession is coming, and if you have a database, and if you can take the pictures of that procession, you can always identify from your database who all were participating in that, what they were doing, so that no one can deny it. See this image analytics. Say these are images of this images of Gwadar Port. Gwadar Port. They are identified that Chinese ship has come, Chinese aircrafts are there, some aircraft carrier have come. So these are different vehicle movement, civil constructions, everything can be, we can analyze from the image. So last is prescriptive analytics. While we have done prediction, but if you have no prescription, say suppose if you go to doctor, he diagnoses everything, but he doesn't give you medicine. So you have not been cured, in fact. So you have to give some, medicines also to cure your disease. So the last is the prescriptive analytics. So that has to be given to, before some action is taken, that through machine learning and artificial intelligence, you get to gather that, and then you take action accordingly. So what is the moral of the story? Moral of the story is study the past if you would define the future. Right? As it will truly say. So before I end, इसको ये चलेगा क्या? इसको चलाओ वहीं से. Start the movie. It's a few 1 minute. नहीं इसी को चलाओ. Run that. Thank you.
Well, let's see how long it takes you to find. Thank you very much. Let's go.
表说出示伪证明，或者对于说他的身份证以及他所经过的在过去在人数他的行经路程，我们会有座上人和车的匹配。同时在人上匹配还包括亲属关系匹配，然后是你经常接触人员之间匹配，就是当摄像机对到对我们传感器对到一个位的时候，其实我们会经常知道你跟谁接触在一起。So already on this bridge, I can see 1, 2, 3 CCTV cameras. Right behind you, you can see, just over my left shoulder there. Hello guys. I'm in Turkey.
Thank you for your insightful words, sir. Now, the floor is open for the questions.
Good afternoon. My name is Aryan. I am from BA first year. My question is that during the 1971 war, why is that Chittagong was not taken back from East Pakistan? And because, as you know, there are even many Chakma students here from Arunachal Pradesh. They are having this refugee problem in Arunachal. Even the minister, one of the BJP ministers, said that despite CA, Citizenship Amendment Act being imposed, Chakmas won't be given refuge in Arunachal. And my second question is that how would you deal with the Siliguri corridor issue, the chicken neck corridor? Because if you look, the Naxalbari uprising happened from that Siliguri region, and the Gorkhaland issue in the Darjeeling, it's still a burning issue, not too far away from the chicken neck corridor. So do you think that North Bengal from Nepal, the Bengal-Nepal border to Assam border should be made a single union territory? Thank you.
You have asked multiple questions. One is Chittagong, in fact, erstwhile East Pakistan, of course. Chittagong was part of erstwhile East Pakistan. Post 1971 war, this has become two countries, the Bangladesh and the West Pakistan. There is an international convention, like we have many kind of borders. The international border which I refer to is a de jure border we call. De jure border is a delineated border which is signed between two countries. I agree to this border that this is my border, that part belongs to you, this part belongs to me. That cannot be violated. Even when there is a war and you have taken over that, the portion that you have taken over beyond your jurisdiction, that is beyond your IB, is to be returned. You can't retain it. That is the international UN convention. Whereas in the case of the LCs and LOCs or the borders, temporary borders, you may refer to it as in a layman language, like the border that you have in J&K with Pakistan, with McMahon line, the China has not agreed to it as an international border. They say that was signed between Tibet and the British India, and China was not part, Republic of China was not party to it, hence they don't agree. So a border which is not international border, any portion that you take, you can retain that. There is no prescription against it. Now, Chittagong, hence it could not have been retained. You understood it? Now, regarding the chicken neck, India has got many chicken necks, if you have to understand it. But that is the only chicken neck we see, because that is a visible chicken neck. It's a long one, big one, and the adversary is China. That is why we feel that we are threatened. You know what the government of India has done? We have added one more core there, because you cannot take away the geographical chunk. Like the old adage goes that you can't change your neighbor. If your neighbor is there, it is there. If Pakistan is there, they would be there. Bhutan is there, they would be there. So is the case with China also. You can't change your neighbor. You can't change the geographical confines until and unless there is an all-out war and you have the power to change the confines of the geography. That I don't think any country has it as of today. So the corridor would remain there. On left-hand side or north-hand side, you have China, which is threatening, and right-hand side, you have Bangladesh. So what you can do, you can beef up your defenses, your security system, through any way, modern ways. You can have your technology inbuilt there, you can your manpower presence there, you can your defense system instilled there in a way that you are not threatened. So we have done that. Government of India has taken measures to add one core there. The strike core is placed in the proximate distance of that. I don't think even China may be a mighty military power, so is the case with us also. India is a mighty military power. No country would want to have a war which would take that country back by about few decades. China would also go back by 3-4 decades if India has to go back through a forced war. So that risk nobody want to take now. So regarding the GNLF problem, it's a dormant case now. GNLF, you know it. The autonomy is given. Darjeeling has some autonomy, I don't know. The Gorgana Dan is now governed through autonomous body, if you understand it. More than that, autonomy being given, that is dangerous. You can't give autonomy to anybody and everybody who raises their voice. That wouldn't be given, no government would agree to it. Even if it is the softest government, that government wouldn't agree it. So whatever is given, that is more than sufficient. That is what I believe. That is my perception, and government policy, I won't comment on it. Government will have different perception than what I hold. But at least, as far as my perception go, whatever power, whatever autonomy is given to the Darjeeling side, that is more than sufficient. I think I have answered you. Is it all right? Thank you.
My question is for IG Eapen sir. Jain sir, myself, Cadet Sumit Kumar. So sir, what are the specific strategies implemented by the government and the border security force to deal with the internal security challenges, as you mentioned, like communal violence, left-wing extremism or insurgency?
Acha, that mic was, okay. But you could hear me. The previous one, mic was all right. Okay. See, the conflict is inherent with the human being. If you think and assume that you will not have a conflict, that means you are living in an utopian era. The conflict is with even your cell. The body cells that you have, it is in conflict with yourself. There are a number of diseases explained by the medical science which speaks of this thing. I will not go into it. The conflict is inherent thing with the planet actually. Whether it is organic conflict or inorganic conflict. The conflict now we are referring to are internal conflicts. This will remain. If not left-wing extremism, some other conflict would come in. We had Naxalism once. I did not go into it because it would have taken at least 2 hours to explain as to what exactly the Naxalism was, how it exploded, how spontaneously spread, exploded and spread. Then what are the background? If you look into the background, that was happening actually. That should have happened. Only thing, it exploded in 1967. It could have happened in 1950 also. But for certain inherent lethal mechanism India held at that time, it did not come in till 1967. So the conflict would remain there, but the message that government, now, if you look at the strength of CAPF, Central Armed Police Force, we started, I will explain it, we started with 25.5 battalion. So 25.5 battalion means approximately 30,000 manpower we had in 1970. We were manning the same, almost same quantum of border. We are guarding one of the, rather, if you have to put together the Pakistan-Indonesia border, only the BSF is there. That is approximately 2,000 kilometers, 2,060 kilometers to be precise. We guard exclusively. Nobody else is there. Even the army would be behind. Only thing, beyond that, 1,000 kilometers, the LC is there, where the army and BSF is interspersed. In the east, approximately 4,096 kilometers long border is guarded by again BSF. So this we were guarding with 25.5 battalion. So how BSF was doing it, in fact, that time the security parameters and grid was different actually. The threats were different. It was not this much. Now the technology advanced, you have all those things Hemant explained, and then we have 195 battalions guarding these borders. Despite that, we have a problem. So the security grid would always have problems vis-a-vis your opponent. You take a step, that man would also take a step. The upgradation of forces, upgradation of technology, the policies of government changes. If you look into the laws, the amended laws that are coming, we never had when we started there was no POTA, the POTA came in, the POTA amended, abrogated, new laws, and we never had Makaku, then we have that. So we have PMLA now. So the laws are being, the policy, there is a policy of the government. Government look into it as to what is the requirement of penal codes, what are the requirements, how to arm the forces, how to arm the law enforcement agencies. I'm referring to the law enforcement agencies. Now, in Punjab, the breadth of border that we had jurisdiction, border security force, it was 15 kilometers till 2 years back. Until 2022, the government now declared through an ordinance that breadth is increased to 50 kilometers. Why? The government explained what necessitated the government to go for that ordinance. Because 15 kilometers to, this is a big breadth actually. If you have to look at, the policing is a state subject, if you understand it. It is not even a concurrent subject. It is purely a state subject, where the central government has jurisdiction, policing no jurisdiction except the Delhi Establishment Act, wherein Delhi Police works and CBI works. And NIA came into being through a special law. They have jurisdiction only on few accounts, few offences, all federal offences. So government is arming the forces, bringing in new forces, bringing in new laws. Not that the weapon or policy is everything. No, you have to have, if I am to operate in border area, if I am to arrest somebody, or my patrol on duty is to arrest and intercept and arrest somebody, if somebody is to search, body search, searching premises, you need to be armed with the law. So when the government finds that this law is necessary, government can. The border belt and every place where it is bordering. So even airport is a terminal. For airport, Bangalore is a terminal. That is how the CSF is able to, or custom government agency is able to operate there. So government arms agencies, its law enforcement agencies with the sufficient laws, new policies comes in, then of course the technology are brought in. These are the ways and means by which you are able to combat the menace that you spoke of. You understood it? So this is basically every government does it. It is not that only the government of India does, but we have to be up and above. India is a subcontinent. I did not explain when I started with it. You know how much, what is the border length we are looking at. It is 15,200 land border, and we have 7,000 coastal borders, kilometers. I am referring to kilometer coastal borders. We have 500 islands. We are looking at, besides the mainland, 500 islands we have. And some of these islands are at what distance? It is more than 1,400 kilometers away from the mainland. We have 2.5 million special economic zone. These are all to be protected. The security, when we refer to, I am not looking at this particular place or some border area or some, but security is a wholesome affair. If your body is not immunized, a small microbe can just creep in and it can destroy your brain cell. So is the case with the security apparatus. The security grid has to be up and above. It is very easy. People may ask several questions. I am just an adjoint to what I have already answered. People think how with this many forces, border security force, 195 battalion, 2.65 manpower, government pays so many, well, almost touching more than $250 billion government spends on us. And despite that, so many infiltrators, but you are not guarding each and every, if I claim, or the BGLR claim that every border is immunized and nobody can cross in. No, that will be a foolish claim if somebody says that. Yes, our efforts would be to be a zero syndrome, nothing should take place, and efforts are made, and that is why the least of infiltration takes place. Despite that, somebody creeps in, it can happen. Because there are a number of patches, if you go and see the borders, many of us not seen the borders, not seen the uniform, not having undergone the training, would just bike out. You can't have the kind of rigors that our troops undergo. It's really difficult to guard the border. Some of the borders are really hell. Sorry to use that word, but it is like that. I think I have answered you. That's it. Thank you.
Jai Hind, sir. I am Cadet Suraj Kumar Singh, and my question is to Hemant Kumar, sir. The question is, what ethical and privacy consideration should be addressed when deploying advanced technology in borderline? As you mentioned, like how advanced technology has been managed to control the borderline of India.
See, these privacy concerns are always there, but thing is that when it comes to security, it's a prime responsibility. I mean, anyway, BSF is manning the border. Anybody who is coming from across the border is not a, I mean, he is not a simple people, I think, probably, isn't it? So we have to understand the ramifications of security in that while exercising that kind of technology, that kind of I mean, equipments which you are deploying on the border. So these informations are already there. In fact, when you fill up the border, when you fill up these things in a form, say suppose when you are going to social media also, you are just filling up the forms. You are saying that I am such and such, my country is this, my phone number is this, my email address is this. These are the kind of informations you are already giving to the social media platforms, aren't you? Right. So these things are, I mean, the privacy laws are always respected, but besides that, whatever is permissible within the government rules and regulations, we are doing that.
Basically,
Now the question is actually will be due to the lack of time.
Haji, I was just adding, probably this misgiving is basically because you have seen that last video. Last video is basically Chinese video. It is based on the Chinese input. We are not doing it actually. We may go to that extent, nobody knows. But it is not there, not even in the anvil that it would happen. But China is doing a lot of probing. They peep into the private life of each individual because an authoritarian regime, you have to understand it, there's a lot of difference between an autocratic authoritarian regime and a democratic system. So our democracy survived for these 77 years, not because of any government or anybody. It is basically the inherent capability and potential of this country is pushing it forward through democracy. China has an autocratic authoritarian regime. They can do this. So their survival depends on probing. So there's a lot of difference. So that wouldn't happen, I don't think. Anybody can ask, anybody have questions?
Yes.
You should be satisfied. You don't have 9 tickets?
It's fine, sir. Jain, sir, I am a Gandhi Chandra. I am a research assistant at a university center for Indian Ocean Systems. I come from a background where I did my master's in politics and you had a very insightful session, sir. And I actually had 2 questions, but the question on intelligence was covered in your session. So I have only one question now. Since your session mentions cyberspace, anyone of you can answer.
Last question.
Do you think India should be inspired by China's The Great Firewall?
Okay. Grade 5?
Great Firewall.
Great firewall. Okay. Let me answer your question because in between, after this COVID happened, I mean, lots of people started doing this video conference and all these things. And there were lots of cyber attacks, in fact, in all critical infrastructure. So government has already come with this national critical infrastructure policy. And then we have emergency response teams are there. And then we have a, gateway also where we have placed these checks and all these things, what kind of traffic is going on, all these things. So these policies are being followed by each and every government agency, even the private people also have to follow those policies. And India is coming in a big way for implementing all those policies so that whenever a situation comes, because you have seen this Ukraine war also, because before the formal attack, conventional attack, what was attacked was the cyberspace. They firstly attacked the cyberspace, thereafter this attack started by Russia. So this kind of things will be happening in the future also, and India is nowhere lagging in that, but there still we have certain issues which need to be attended and looked after so that such incidents doesn't happen in future, and we are well capable and will do it in future.
Firewall.
And the Great Firewall, I think policy, China is, sir, told you about that authoritarian rule is there. They don't even allow this Twitter and all this to inside the country. They have their own WeChat is there, like WhatsApp. WhatsApp is not functional there. So this kind of things are there, and every traffic is there. They have a Baidu platform is there, whereby the search engine is Chinese make, and they are, this Chinese citizen has to use that search engine only, because they can't use this Google and all this. Google has, they have asked Google to implement certain things, they said no. That was regarding the privacy only, so they said no. So they went back from this China. So I think that kind of thing, situations probably never come in India. That kind of authoritarian rule will never come in India. Of course, yes, if it is a security issue, of course, things will be there.
I'll add.
See, as I was telling, we are a democracy, and it is the largest democracy on this planet. And I don't think any other country would ever be able to claim that. This for sure. Not now, not even in the future. Having said that, if Great Firewall policy of China is to secure them, protect them, it is a foolish idea, I would say. Why I would say that? Because these are modern things that we are hearing. You heard about the Iron Curtain? Yes. Iron Curtain. You have heard about it, USSR, the erstwhile USSR, and major chunk of USSR used to be Russia only. So Russia, the USSR, they had an Iron Curtain, meaning thereby no information could leak out. That is what they claimed. And no information could leak out. And the Cold War period, there was a Warsaw Pact countries, and then they had NATO's. So any one spy picked up here, another spy would be picked up from the opponent ground. That used to happen those days. So Iron Curtain, they say nobody could breach it, but it was breached. Not only breached, USSR disintegrated into many countries, and within them they are at fight with each other now. So these things are not going to help much actually. Ultimately what happens, human being as a psychology, you had some psychologists here, probably your vice chancellor is a psychiatrist, psychologist probably. So he would be able to tell you this, because human being has this inherent quality of getting bored with things which are prolonged. So China has this, what do you call it, the forced firewall type of a situation, the authoritarian regime, the autocracy that they are following. It is going to break down one day. You can't it is like putting people in fetters, isn't it? So it is going to break down one day. It has to. I am not saying it will happen next year or next to next year. This may continue for some more time, but it is going to happen. That is what it is. Firewall is not going to help a country like firewall could not help USSR.
Hope all your questions are answered, and thank you, sir, for answering all these questions. As we draw this invigorating program to a close, I request Cadet Sudiksha to perform a gratitude to everyone who made today possible.
stand here as a proud and grateful to express my heartfelt thanks to all who made this event possible. A special thanks to our honorable guest, Shri Eapen PV, IG Bsf Bangalore. May I request Ajay Raval sir to present a memento as a token of appreciation. And also a special thanks to Shri Hemant Kumar Jha, DIG, BSF Bangalore. Also a special thanks to Shri Hemant Kumar Jha, DIG, BSF Bangalore. I like to thank Shri Vishal sir, Deputy Commandant BSF Bangalore. I request Pradeep sir to present a memento. Particularly our Vice Chancellor, Yashwant Dongre sir, who inspire us to achieve best.
Good afternoon to all of you. For a token of remembrance and keep our relationship will further strengthen in the future. We have also memento from Cedco Bsf Bangalore. Now I would like to request IG sir to kindly give this memento to Raval sir.
I express my heartfelt gratitude to our Registrar, Sushant Joshi sir. In their absence, I'll also thank our teaching and non-teaching faculty and also students who all are present here for the success of this event. Let us give a heartfelt appreciation to all those who contributed to make this event huge success. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Your presence, participation and enthusiasm have truly made this event memorable, and I request each one of you to stand for the national anthem.